inside of Iraq and Syria, where there are about 4,000 military personnel. And also, we have major bases in Qatar and in Bahrain.
The Israeli defense minister today says Israel is stepping up its attacks on more targets in Iran, including some that ABC's Jordana Miller in Jerusalem says could lead to regime change.
Israel has now expanded their strikes on regime targets. Israel has carried out strikes on Revolutionary Guard headquarters, the Ministry of Energy, one of the units or departments of Tehran University that is connected to the regime.
President Trump has expressed interest in a regime change as well, though defense officials say the attack on Iran's nuclear sites was not necessarily about that. National and local officials are watching developments in the Middle East carefully after American bombers struck nuclear sites there. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimber.
Here at home, law enforcement also on high alert. Homeland Security warning state and local officials of a heightened threat environment. One group tracking threats to Jewish institutions says more than 1,600 violent online posts have been flagged since Saturday night's airstrikes.
Local experts are weighing in on the situation, saying Utah could eventually become a target of Iranian retaliation.
My inclination is that Iran is probably going to bide their time, wait to find a vulnerability, and then exploit that.
John McClure is the deputy director for the Center of National Security Studies at Utah Valley University. He says if Iran does retaliate against Utah, it likely wouldn't be in the form of a direct physical attack.
The main concern, I would say, would be cyber threats and vulnerabilities to critical infrastructure.
He also says if Iran did deploy cyber attacks, they likely wouldn't target just Utah, rather several states in the region. But on the bright side, McClure believes we are more prepared than most states for those kinds of attacks.
We're fairly fortified. We've taken a lot of precautions, gone through a lot of training. We're a landlocked state.
Ultimately, McClure says he feels like we're pretty safe here in Utah, but at the end of the day,
it's one of those things we're going to kind of have to watch and play out.
Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Utah Senator John Curtis posted on social media saying Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons is a threat and that our military's action was a serious and necessary response to that danger. Utah Governor Spencer Cox told reporters that he supports what our military did.
They cannot get a nuclear weapon. A nuclear Iran would be devastating, not just for Israel, not just for destabilization in the Middle East, but for Americans as well.
Though the governor and Senator Curtis said that they hope we can eventually achieve peace, Senator Mike Lee invited people to pray for peace. You can follow our coverage on this breaking news on air, but you can also sign up for push alerts through the KSL News Radio app to get the very latest updates. If you hear some loud booms this week, don't be alarmed. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson says they are planned detonations.
Hill Air Force Base will be performing several large detonations at the Utah Test and Training Range this week. And following a recent detonation, Public Affairs Officer Kendall Johnson expects people will be noticing the activity.
The detonation that happened last week, people heard it on the base, so it could be as far as Layton, Salt Lake. Kind of depends on the circumstances of the weather.
The explosions could be pretty loud since they contain more than 10,000 pounds of net explosive weight, but no need to call the police. This is done to destroy old or obsolete Department of Defense rocket motors. Britt Johnson, KSL News Radio.
Twilla Army Depot is also conducting open detonations today. First Look Traffic. Good afternoon, Ricky.
Good afternoon, Maria. Right now, crews are still working to clear an accident. This is northbound Bangerter Highway near California Avenue, out of traffic on the shoulder. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:05.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
It's going to be a hot one before you know it, and that means now is the time to get your lawn ready with an application of Revive Organic Soil Treatment. Revive takes every drop of water deep down to the roots, where your grass can use it. Use Revive in early summer. It's the protection your lawn needs to stay lush and green during the hot temperatures coming. With Revive, watering twice a week is like watering 4 times a week. You'll save water, you'll save money. Spread it, spray it. Use Revive now. It works.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today, 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227, or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. We are continuing to follow the retaliatory strikes on a U.S. military base in Qatar. So far, we know that Iran has fired missiles, but they seem to have been intercepted. We'll continue to bring you the very latest. KSL News Time 12:08. Governor Spencer Cox is issuing an executive order calling for the referendum on House Bill 267 be put on the 2026 ballot. The referendum looks to change the laws passed by lawmakers that ban public employees from using unions to collectively bargain. This comes after a massive statewide effort to collect enough signatures so the issue could be decided on by Utah voters. We'll hear from one of the union representatives behind the signature gathering efforts coming up at 12:15. The Utah Grizzlies are warning fans that the team may be leaving after the owners announced that they are exploring a potential sale. KSL News Radio's Virl Johansson has details.
The Utah Grizzlies have played in Utah for nearly 30 years. Team officials say they're considering a sale because their longtime owners aren't able to be as involved as they want to be, partially because of co-owner Donna Tuttle's declining health. In a message to fans posted on social media, the team says in order for the Grizzlies to thrive in the future, they may need new owners and possibly a new home. The hockey team plans to play this next season in Utah. Virl Johansson, KSL News Radio.
It's NBA Draft Week. Round 1 starts Wednesday night at 6. Dallas has the number 1 overall pick. The Utah Jazz have number 5. A new city budget in West Jordan could mean residents end up paying less in taxes. KSL News Radio's Josue Sanchez has more.
West Jordan city officials say now that the city has paid off a bond and is making more from commercial businesses, residents could see a slight decrease in property taxes. Utah Taxpayers Association President Billy Hesterman says residents should know how the budget is being used and voice their opinion to their council member. The new budget will include funding for a new concrete crew, a police officer, and future fire truck replacements.
The City Council will hold a public hearing before the budget is finalized in August. Some Salt Lake County residents could also get some tax relief. The County Council approved a very slight decrease in the amount of property taxes that are required due to a requirement that the government account for inflation. The rules are meant to make sure a government gets roughly the same amount of revenue from property taxes even if inflation goes up. Instead, any increase in revenue comes from population growth. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. What's going on, Ricky?
Overall, we have kind of a quiet drive on your Salt Lake County freeways. We had an accident that was out of traffic on the shoulder eastbound on the 21st South Freeway approaching I-215's westbound. Again, not really a factor, and it's in the clearing stages. We still have the accident also out of traffic on the shoulder northbound Bangerter Highway, not far from California Avenue. It's not going to cause an issue. Where you'll see slowdowns, it's in the work zone southbound I-15 in Davis County as you go from Kaysville into Farmington. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, splendid 70s. Back in the forecast today, look for a high of 78, partly cloudy skies, and an afternoon breeze. Overnight, 58 degrees. We'll bounce back to 84 tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy skies. And yes, Tuesday could see a bit of a breeze. Mostly sunny on Wednesday, 88 the high. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Nice to have those cooler temperatures. My plants certainly like the break. Right now, mostly cloudy skies in downtown Salt Lake City and 64 degrees. Coming up on Midday, as we just told you, Governor Cox is calling the state's ban on collective bargaining to be put on the 2026 ballot. We'll talk to one of the union leaders behind the signature gathering efforts to do just that. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes. But when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
KSL News Time, 12:15. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
local experts on national security say they think Utah could eventually become a target of Iranian retaliation. Though on the bright side, they say we're more prepared than most states. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second Hill Air Force Base and Tula Army Depot have been conducting detonations today. These are planned explosions of old rocket motors and are no cause for alarm. Third, traffic and weather together, Ricky.
Right now we have a good drive on I-15 in Salt Lake and in Utah counties, but in Davis County, the usual heavy and slow traffic, especially by Burton Lane on southbound I-15 as you're going from the Kaysville Ponds down to Lagoon in Farmington. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Beautiful today with highs in the 70s and a bit of an afternoon breeze. I'm Matt Johnson.
64 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The skies over Qatar lighting up after Iran launched short and medium-range missiles targeting the largest U.S. base in the Middle East in response to the U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. A U.S. official says American forces intercepted Iranian missiles along with Qatar's military assisting, and there have been no impacts. ABC's Ian Pannell is in Tel Aviv and says for the U.S.
It's important not just to house aircraft, but it's important because this is a command and control facility. It's where missions are controlled.
A senior U.S. defense official tells ABC News, quote, "We believe Iran's attacks will be regional." President Trump meeting with his national security team in the Situation Room on what's next.
President Trump Saturday night said any retaliation by Iran would be met with what he called, quote, force far greater than what was witnessed that night. There are 40,000 U.S. military personnel in the Middle East. 10,000 are stationed at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, targeted by Iran on Monday. The president Saturday night signaled future attacks against Iran.
If peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision
speed, and skill.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Columbia University graduate student and pro-Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil is speaking out after his release from detention last week. A judge ordering his release while his deportation case continues. Khalil was detained by immigration officials in March for organizing anti-Israel protests on campus last year. ABC's Lindsay Davis spoke to Khalil in an exclusive interview asking why he's considered a threat.
Because I represent a movement that goes against what this administration is trying to do.
The Trump administration says Khalil poses a national security threat. You're listening to ABC News.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. Governor Spencer Cox issued an executive order today to put the recently passed law that would ban public employees' unions from collective bargaining on the 2026 ballot. This is something unions across the state have been pushing for months. Joining me now live is Brad Essay, president of the American Federation of Teachers Union in Utah. Brad, thanks for being with me.
Thank you, Maria. Glad to be with you.
So what is your reaction to hearing this news today?
We're excited for the news. We worked really hard to gather those signatures with many across the state, both citizens, union members, and other supporters. So we're ready to go and looking forward that the people of Utah get to make that decision and get a voice and a vote.
Remind folks of this signature gathering effort and how it plays into the governor's decision today.
You bet. So we had to gather over 140,000 signatures, and we ended up gathering over 251,000 signatures to get that on the ballot. We were just waiting for it to be certified by the lieutenant governor, which it did, and then waiting for the governor to make his decision if it was going to go on the 2025 ballot with a special election or the 2026. Either way, which way it would have went, we were ready, and we're ready to work it and look forward to getting the information out to the citizens of Utah. We found that when they are educated about an issue, that they come out and they vote. So we're excited for the overwhelming support that we had and know that that's going to continue when it comes to the citizens.
Describe for folks why this is important and why they should get out and vote for it.
You bet. So this is a power grab from legislators that are against unions. But what it really did harm was it harmed the voice of public employees to have a voice at their work site for working conditions, for salaries, and gives them a vote with collective bargaining, in their workplace. So it's important that we keep those freedoms for working families. This is all about workers and families. And, anytime that workers have a voice at the workplace, we retain workers. And this was not just about a certain group. This is about all public employees, firefighters, police, healthcare workers, city, municipality, state workers. So this affected so many workers across the state. And so it's important that that support for public workers continues with our citizens to be able to come out and to support public workers. So we're excited for them to be able to come out and vote and choose the right for people to have a voice, and it affects all of us.
Describe for us what you plan to do between now and Election Day.
You bet. We're going to get out and we're going to educate. We're going to educate the public on what this really is about. And there's been a lot of misinformation that's out there about this bill. There's been a lot of opposition from groups around the nation that made this more of a political issue against unions than really focusing on public workers and their families. So we're going to get out and educate citizens of Utah on what this bill really does and how it affects working families. So we're going to be working that.
Appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate you.
Live on the KSL Newsline, that is Brad Essay. He's president of the American Federation of Teachers Union here in Utah. Let's get you up to date on the drive. Traffic and weather is brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. What's happening, Ricky?
A crash-free drive on your Salt Lake County freeways, and the accident that we had northbound Bangerter near California Avenue, that has also cleared. Still a little bit of slowing southbound I-15, leaving Kaysville going through Farmington. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast, partly cloudy today with a high of 78 and a bit of an afternoon breeze. 84 tomorrow, breezy, partly cloudy. Mostly sunny and 88 on Wednesday. Thursday, sunshine, 95. It's 96 by Friday. Saturday, sunshine, 97. Keep it in the upper 90s on Sunday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Pretty cool temperatures in downtown Salt Lake City right now. Bit of sunshine, but only 64 degrees. 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Quick check of the markets. The Dow and the NASDAQ up by triple digits. A complete update of your money news is coming up next.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
At Trio Senior Living, older adults aren't slowing down. They're just getting started. The Prime Fit Wellness program expands wellness beyond the gym into every aspect of community life. Whatever your goals, the team at Trio Senior Living has got your back, so you can put your best foot forward. Call 801-475-4004 today to schedule your personal visit.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL News Time 1224. For the first time since 2016, it took all 7 games of the championship series to determine the kings of the NBA. ABC's Jim Ryan says the Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Indiana Pacers last night in OKC at 103-91.
And the game is tied again.
It was a Game 7 for the ages, a back-and-forth affair with 10 lead changes in the first half alone. When it was over, the Thunder had prevailed, and guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was named MVP.
We have a team full of competitors. We did what it took this year to be champions, and we deserve this.
It was the first championship for the Thunder since the team landed in Oklahoma City in 2008. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Watching Utah's money, oil prices are at their highest level since January after the U.S. attack on Iran. Reuters reports Brent crude and U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures both increased by about 2.5% after the attack. Brent and WTI have both seen oil prices increase by more than 10% since the Israel and Iran conflict began. Kroger is planning to shut down 60 stores across the country over the next year and a half. Yahoo Finance reports the news comes after the grocery chain found sales were down slightly compared to last year. 4th of July barbecues are looking to be more expensive this year. USA Today reports ground beef prices are up more than 7% compared to last year. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is up by 305 points, about 0.75%, sitting at 42,512. S&P is up by 44. The NASDAQ up by nearly a full percent, up 177 points. Watch for 'em. The largest digital camera ever built has released its first shots of the universe.
Photos of colorful nebulas, stars, and galaxies known as the Virgo cluster, including 2 bright blue spirals. The images are taken by the biggest ever digital camera at the Vera C. Rubin Observatory on a mountaintop in Chile. The celestial bodies are thousands of light years from Earth. A light year is nearly 6 trillion miles. Funded by the U.S. National Science Foundation and the Energy Department, it will also look for what the astronomer Vera Rubin suspected were mysterious dark matter and dark energy.
That is ABC's Chuck Sievertson reporting.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful when Mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. I wanted a better relationship with Dad, so I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings or to Alateen. I'm sure glad I did. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-ALANON or go to alanon.org.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Let's check in again with Ricky Meese.
We are enjoying a crash-free commute on the Valley freeways and our main secondaries. We do have slowdowns, and this has been a daily event in Davis County, southbound I-15, as you pass the Kaysville Ponds on the way to Park Lane in Farmington. That's due to the road work taking place there. Otherwise, a quiet noontime drive. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
I've got a mix of sun and clouds today. Look for a high of only 78 and a bit of an afternoon breeze. 58 in the overnight, mostly clear. We'll go partly cloudy tomorrow, 84. Then it's 88, mostly sunny by Wednesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now in downtown Salt Lake City, mostly cloudy, 64 degrees. And join Ton and me for the KSL Greenhouse Show next Saturday at the Olson's Greenhouse. It's June 28th at the Hidden Garden Tour. You can get an exclusive peek at new pre-release flower varieties at the Nola Ray Olson Research Garden in Santaquin. Visit ogg.com.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon, KSL News Time, 1230. KSL's top story this hour. The Forsyth Fire in Washington County continues to grow. The now 7,000-acre fire has destroyed more than a dozen homes. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has the numbers.
13 homes have burned, along with several outbuildings in Pine Valley. That's according to spokeswoman for the Great Basin Incident Management Team, Candy Stevenson, who spoke on Inside Sources this morning.
It is up to 7,045 acres.
still 0% contained.
Stevenson says there are currently 280 firefighters on the scene, and the cooler weather we're having will help them get a handle on the blaze. She also says none of the houses that burned were primary residences. They are secondary homes. Currently, no other houses are in danger. Heather Kelly, KSL News Radio.
A fire burning near Bryce Canyon grew over the last 24 hours from just shy of 16,000 to just over 23,000 acres. The France Canyon fire is about 10% contained. State fire officials say they've been working to make sure that it stays away from the campgrounds. They are warning the blowing smoke could obscure your view if you are driving in that region. Fireworks, go on sale tomorrow morning around the state, but firefighters are hoping more people opt to go out to professional fireworks shows this year instead of lighting their own because of the extreme dry conditions. It was this same last year. We heard from Scott Clements, who almost lost his Mill Creek home because someone decided to light fireworks in a restricted zone.
Within 30 seconds or so, it had spread to the length of a house or two.
It's still illegal to light fireworks anywhere in the state until July 2nd. A search for a missing man on Utah Lake is over, with his body being found in the early hours of this morning. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
We haven't been given the man's name, but we know he was on a wave runner with his cousin when they both fell off near the Linden Marina around 5:30.
Wind was definitely a factor yesterday, and the conditions on the water on Utah Lake being choppy and having waves.
Utah County Sheriff's Office Sergeant Ray Ormond says they aren't sure if the men had been wearing life jackets. Crews were searching the lake late into the night using boats with sonar, and the body was found around 1 a.m. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
South Ogden police are looking into the background of a juvenile who they say showed up to the South Ogden Days celebration with a gun. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
Police were there patrolling the city celebration. This was Saturday evening when they got a tip there was a group of kids wearing all black clothing, and one of them was spotted with a gun. Police, they moved in quickly. They say one in the group pulled out a gun. Police challenged him, so he dropped it and ran into the crowd right toward the concert stage. Officers say he didn't make it very far before they caught him. Police have not given us the age of the suspect, but they did say everyone involved was located. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories. Iran has launched missiles in the direction of nearby Qatar, a U.S. military base there that is pivotal, for coordinating and executing operations in the region. ABC's James Longman, reporting from Iraq, says officials expected something like this to happen.
Everyone here knew that something was coming, and I think perhaps there was a sense that there'd be a few days, perhaps that maybe that the Iranians would sort of think about what they were going to target, that it was going to be at a time of their choosing. We hear that phrase so often. Now these early reports about Qatar and the Gulf, probably the more obvious choice given these are integral to the U.S. operation.
Pentagon officials confirmed the strikes to ABC News as President Trump met in the Situation Room with his national security team. More from ABC's Ann Flaherty on what the U.S. could decide.
The speculation there is that President Trump would have to respond, and that's what has everyone concerned, because it goes from being this singular, limited strike on Iranian nuclear sites, and then it moves into a wider war if there's this retaliation and back and forth and so forth. So, a lot of this, the U.S. officials here say that they are hoping that everything, that this is a one-off, that, they can handle this, they can shoot these missiles down, and that the calmer heads prevail.
According to officials, missiles were shot down and no one was hurt at the base. In his first broadcast interview since being released from 104 days of ICE detention, Columbia graduate student and pro-Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil has spoken exclusively with ABC News. He tells ABC's Lindsay Davis the government is not truthful about him.
They try to portray me as a violent person. They try to portray me as a terrorist, as some lunatic, but not presenting any evidence, not presenting any shred of credibility to their claims.
The Trump administration has argued that Khalil is pro-Hamas and created an environment of harassment towards Jewish college students. First look traffic, let's check in with Ricky Meese.
We do have a new accident. It's downtown in the process of being cleared at Main Street and 1400 South. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time 12:35. If this is the summer that you get fit and you really take your weight and your health more seriously and you want to lose those pounds, I want to tell you about a program that has worked for me, and it's called Salt Lake City Fat Loss. I have lost more than 40 pounds with this great program. It pretty much resets your metabolism with a simple combination of foods, and it's all natural. There are no injections, no surgeries, just a simple combination of foods to burn off that stored fat, and it does so very quickly. Plus, they give you great resources to keep you accountable. They have a great app. It gives you a 1-minute inspirational video in the morning, gives you great recipes, and make sure that you are on track to be successful and to keep that weight off. And right now you can save $200 on this program. You can learn more at slcfatloss.com or call them 801-450-1882. Wouldn't it be great to lose up to a pound per day? That's what many of their clients do. Just go to slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. It is time for our annual spring clearance sale at Arctic Spas. Tons of hot tubs, swim spas, all-weather pools, saunas, and cold tubs all on sale at up to $7,500 off. Yes, up to $7,500 off. Just in time for the summer fun to begin. Plus, we have a few models left over from last year, like an Arctic Spa Polaris, a 7-foot by 7-foot with 40 massaging jets, 2 pumps, ozone water purification, UV water purification, multicolored LED lights, and a waterfall, now discounted to $89.95. Swim spas starting out at $19,995. This brings a pool to your backyard all year long, but especially for the family fun this summer. Comfort and convenience is on sale with our automated saltwater system. Or save even more with almost new refurbished Arctic Spas from years past. Start out online at arcticspasutah.com to pick out your favorite spa. Then stop by one of our 3 Arctic Spa stores covering all of Utah: Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping our top story, the Forsyth Fire in southern Utah has now burned more than 7,000 acres, and firefighters still have no containment. At least 13 homes have been destroyed. KSL News Time 1237. Police in Idaho are searching for 2 missing children who may be headed to Utah. Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says a 13-year-old boy and 15-year-old girl are believed to be with their 18-year-old sister, Alintra D. Fisher. The Sheriff's Office says on their way back to an FLDS community, they could be headed to the Mendon area in Cache Valley. Right now, the missing teens are being treated as runaways. The children are believed to have gone willingly. Anyone with information is asked to call police. More than half of Utah voters surveyed support legalizing recreational marijuana in the state. KSL News Radio's Vril Johansson has more.
The Deseret News and Hinckley Institute of Politics poll found 30% of Utah voters surveyed strongly support the move, but Utah's legislative leaders do not. Utah Senate President Stuart Adams told the Deseret News Utah's program is effective and helps people with chronic pain or serious illnesses access the drugs while also preventing misuse. House Speaker Mike Schultz says our focus should remain on providing benefit to those who need it most. There's no push to legalize marijuana for recreational use in Utah at the moment. Vril Johansson, KSL News Radio.
A new poll shows widespread support for a controversial voucher program in Utah. The Deseret News Hinckley Institute poll found nearly 2/3 of registered voters surveyed in Utah support the Utah Fits All scholarship program. Opponents claim it takes money away from public education. Supporters like the flexibility it provides their families in the form of education choice. The biggest data center campus in the world could soon call Millard County home. KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi reports the facility still needs approval from the county commission.
The 20 million square foot facility is classified as heavy industrial. The Salt Lake Tribune reports Orem-based FiberNet Mercury Data proposed building the facility. It's being called the largest data center campus in the world. The county commission approved the zoning change on almost 1,200 acres of property outside Delta. The company hopes to tap into natural gas, solar, and other nearby resources to power its AI goals.
The company hopes to lease the center to tech companies or government agencies for artificial intelligence or other purposes. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. And here's Ricky Meese.
Salt Lake City PD has been working to clear a crash at 1400 South and Main Street. Salt Lake County freeways still in really good shape right now. No accidents. We do have traffic that fills in and slows down in the construction zone. That's southbound I-15 near Burton Lane as you're going from Kaysville to Farmington in Davis County. Celebrate freedom in Paris, Idaho. 4th of July Chuck Wagon Breakfast and Parade. On the 5th, a 5K run, junior rodeo, craft vendor fair, and free concert. Visit bearlake.org for details. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, warming temperatures back in the forecast, though today's going to be very nice. Look for a high of 78 by afternoon, partly cloudy skies, and breezy afternoon winds. 58 in the overnight. We'll go 84 tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy. Then it's up to 88 Wednesday, mostly sunny. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And a bit coolish still here in downtown Salt Lake City, where it's mostly cloudy and 64 degrees. Coming up on Midday, Iran launching retaliatory attacks on a U.S. military base in Qatar. We'll get the latest from one of News Nation's national security contributors. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Change is always happening. Hey, it's a part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten, classics are remixed, bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. But no matter how things change, in 5 years, there's one thing that'll stay the same: the price of your internet. Xfinity is introducing the 5-year price guarantee. It means you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with their best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report August 2024. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Go to xfinity.com/deals.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Jeff Kaplan. I'm energized by breaking news. First of all, because it's right now, and second of all, because in many cases the audience needs to know. There's no more important service that we can provide, and I find it critically important to get more details to the audience as quickly as possible. There's nothing more energizing than that for me. Not at all. The most important thing we do is breaking news. I am gratified that so many people listen to me every afternoon on KSL, but what they don't know is that there are so many people behind the scenes making it happen, checking on the traffic, answering the phones, making the calls, talking to the newsmakers. They're out in the street, into the field to get the raw information, and then putting it all together so that I can sit in front of a microphone and be a source of information every afternoon. But there are so many people who make it happen. That's what you don't know.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time, 1245. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
the Forsyth Fire in Washington County consumed another 2,000 acres overnight. It has now burned 7,045 acres and 13 homes. I'm KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly.
Second, the body of a man who was in a wave runner accident over the weekend has been found at Utah Lake. Third, traffic and weather together, Ricky.
Crews are wrapping up a crash at Main Street and 1400 South, and it is busy both directions, north and southbound Main Street at the 1300 South intersection. Also, some unusual slowing. This is eastbound on I-80 just after Parley Summit. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Pleasant afternoon temperatures with highs in the 70s today, but then the 80s and 90s return. I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 66 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national story.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Days after the U.S. carried out unprecedented airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, Iran launched a wave of missiles at the Al Udeid base in Qatar. The U.S. and Qatari officials say the short and mid-range missiles were shot down, and there are no reports of impact or casualties. ABC's Ian Pannell is in Tel Aviv with more.
Many people will feel this was suicidal by Iran. It's already beleaguered. It's had its key leadership killed. It's had its armed forces decimated. Israel now controls the skies. And although this may be face-saving, which shouldn't surprise us because there's form there, the response from the U.S. to this could trigger further events inside Iran.
President Trump and his national security team were meeting in the Situation Room when Iran launched the missiles. The Pentagon says there are 40,000 U.S. troops stationed in the region. This is ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. Iran, as you just heard, launched missiles at a U.S. military base in Qatar today in retaliation to the U.S. attacks on Iran's nuclear program. Joining me now live is News Nation national security contributor Tracy Walder. Tracy, thanks for being with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bring us up to date. What's happening right now?
Well, right now, as you mentioned, Iran launched airstrikes into Al Udeid base. They really didn't make any of an impact. Most of them were intercepted. They let Qatar know prior to doing this, and we had removed a lot of our aircraft last week.
So, Tracy, what does this mean for the ongoing conflict? Should we expect more of this, or should we expect the U.S. to hit back?
I have to be honest, I'm not sure and convinced that the U.S. will hit back in that capacity. I think that our involvement, we want it to be very limited to those precision strikes on those 3 nuclear facilities. I think we fully expected for them to hit back in this way. This is pretty much exactly what they did when Qasem Soleimani was assassinated by us a few years back. So I think this is exactly what we expected. We didn't hit back after that strike a few years ago. I don't expect us to hit back now.
Describe what this means for American troops, both at bases here at home and abroad.
So I think for troops abroad, the U.S. is, in my opinion, actually doing quite a good job of ensuring that they are out of harm's way. You have to remember for airstrikes like this, they are going to have to fly into other countries' airspaces, and other airspaces will pick that up. And so I think that is something that is helping us out, not to mention I think, have done a very good job of mitigating damage to our military personnel, as we should be. I am concerned about cyber attacks and lone wolf attacks here in the United States.
So what are you watching for when it comes to those?
You know, I think Iran, we have to remember that they do have a cyber capability. Now, some of that may not be intact right now based on attacks from Israel and from us. But I really do think that their cyber capability is relatively strong. We have to remember in 2016, they launched a massive denial of service attack against the United States, our banks, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America. 2022, they hacked Boston Children's Hospital, and they attempted to assassinate President Trump as well as Ambassador Bolton. So those are all things that they have attempted here in the U.S. just within the past 10 years or so. And so I think we can expect something like that.
Tracy, I appreciate your help. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Live on the KSL Newsline, that is News Nation national security contributor Tracy Walder. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Let's get an update on the roads. Ricky, what's going on?
In Parley's Canyon, eastbound I-80, we did have some delays. Now, we do have road work in that area. In this, we're still seeing a right lane blocked about halfway between Parley Summit and Jeremy Ranch. So you still could see some slower speeds just in that spot, but what I was seeing earlier, that has definitely eased. Still some heavy and slow traffic through the work zone in Davis County, southbound I-15 between the Kaysville Ponds and Lagoon at Farmington. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast has us climbing the temperature ladder through the next 7. I've got partly cloudy skies today with a high of 78 and afternoon breeze. Breezy tomorrow, 84, partly cloudy skies. Wednesday, mostly sunny, we're up to 88. We're back to the 90s, 95 on Thursday, sunshine. Mostly sunny, 96 on your Friday. Saturday and Sunday both, sunshine with highs near 96. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, a bit of sunshine in downtown Salt Lake City, 66 degrees. 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. And a quick check of the markets. Seeing a lot of green on the markets today. We'll get a complete update coming up next.
The wait is almost over. After 2 years of renovation, the perfect downtown lunch spot is now almost open. The Garden Restaurant opens on June 30th. The Garden Restaurant offers a beautifully designed space and deliciously fresh menu. It's close to everything downtown next to the Temple Square block. If you need something quick and on the go, or to meet a client, friend, or place to relax, the Garden Restaurant offers healthy options like handcrafted sandwiches, soups, unique salads, plus traditional favorites like homemade pot pies and the famous Lion House rolls. The Garden's new look and tasty menu offers something for everyone, featuring dine-in, patio seating, lobby seating, and grab-and-go or quick online ordering. Visit the Garden today. Reimagine space with remarkable taste. Easy street access on the ground floor of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building. Open weekdays 11 to 3. Check out the menu at thegardenslc.com. Fresh flavors, iconic location. The Garden Restaurant, opening next week, June 30th. See you there.
Common Spirit Health has expert orthopedic care that gets you back at it and back to your best. Find skilled orthopedic physicians at Common Spirit locations who specialize in general orthopedics and repair of hips, knees, shoulders, and hands, so you can return to running races or chasing the grandkids. Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Orthopedic care with human kindness is here. Visit mountain.commonspirit.org.
For nearly 70 years, Les Olson IT has been the trusted name for businesses. From state-of-the-art printers and copiers to managed IT services, we have the solutions you need to stay ahead in today's world. And now Les Olson IT is trusted and licensed in Utah for security systems, for technology that helps you work smarter. Les Olson IT, providing solutions that empower your business.
Les Olson IT.
You've built the dream, the home, the lifestyle, the legacy. Now it's time your windows and doors reflect that same $1 million standard. Whether you're designing a stunning custom home or upgrading the one you've loved for years, Peach Doors and Windows is here to bring that vision to life with precision, style, and craftsmanship.
The Peach specialty? High-end custom windows and doors that don't just fit your space, they elevate it. From sleek modern lines to timeless elegant finishes, they offer the kinds of craftsmanship that truly complements a $1 million space. And with Peach, the process is easy. No pressure, no gimmicks, just knowledgeable experts helping you find solutions to turn your someday project into right now.
Visit their spacious showroom, get inspired, and create something beautiful together. Peach Doors and Windows for the $1 million home you live in and the $1 million feeling you deserve. Visit peachdoorsandwindows.com or call 801-566-1255 today.
That's Peach Windows and Doors. Give them a call, 801-566-1255.
KSL News Time 1254. A recent report estimates in 5 years, Utah homes could be the second most expensive in the nation.
Using data from national brokerage company Redfin, Hire a Helper says by 2030, the median price of a house in Utah would be just under $1 million. Those numbers are only topped by California. If that happens, the average earner would need to make more than double the current state median income. Redfin reports home prices have increased year over year, even while fewer people are buying. Utah neighbors Wyoming and Idaho are also expected to become unaffordable to the average earner in the next few years. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Watching Utah's money traveling across the Atlantic Ocean is getting cheaper. Reuters reports airplane ticket prices are hitting lows last seen before the COVID-19 pandemic. One reason for the lower prices is that travel from Western Europe to the U.S. fell by more than 4% in May. Robots are starting to take over jobs loading and unloading trucks at warehouses. Wall Street Journal reports improved sensors and advancements in AI are making robots more efficient. Nearly 50% of Americans say they need to make more than $100,000 a year to feel financially secure. That's according to a survey from Bankrate. CNN reports latest census data shows the median U.S. household income is around $80,000 a year. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow up by 205 points, losing a bit of ground in the last half hour. It's still up by about 0.5%, sitting at 42,412. S&P up by 36. The NASDAQ is up by 145 points. Tesla's first robo-taxis are officially on the road. Elon Musk's company launching its long-awaited self-driving taxi service in Austin, Texas.
For now, the service is limited to a handful of cars in a small area of the city. But Musk has big ambitions, not just for robo-taxis, but for every Tesla.
By the end of next year, we'll have hundreds of thousands, if not over 1 million Teslas doing self-driving in the U.S.
Tesla calling this a precursor to the Cybercab, which the company says will go into production next year.
That is ABC's Andrew Dimbert reporting.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Celebrate the red, white, and beautiful during the 4th of July sale at Scandinavian Designs Furniture with up to 50% off. Visit the showrooms in Ogden or Murray or shop online at ScandinavianDesigns.com.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night, too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. What's going on, Ricky?
It's pretty quiet on your Salt Lake County freeways. No accidents, no delays. Not a bad drive on the rest of I-15 in Weber and Utah counties. Bennett, Davis County is just a little bit of a crowded traffic going slower on southbound I-15 as you go from Kaysville into Farmington due to the road work. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Taking a look at the forecast for the Wasatch Front, it looks like cooler temperatures for the next few days. Then we'll be back up into the 90s by Thursday and Friday. The hottest day this week will happen on Saturday, where it'll be 97 degrees. And still not a chance of rain in the forecast for the Wasatch Front. Right now in downtown Salt Lake City, mostly cloudy and 66 degrees. Some other temperatures around the area. Provo, it's 70. Logan, 65. In Park City this hour, 56 degrees.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Iran firing missiles at Qatar just a short time ago.
This really is dangerous ground, that this starts to become far more regional, and that will bring in many players. It will involve the popular mobilization units inside Iraq. It potentially involves Hezbollah, who have also been active again today.
The time is 1 o'clock on Monday, June 23rd. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, President Trump ordering missiles to strike key facilities in Iran. Is this legal? More on that and the developing situation in the Middle East. Also this hour,
the good news with that is that there are lots of homes that were saved.
Utah Fire Watch, the latest on wildfires burning around the state. But first, our top stories. Iran has launched short and medium-range missiles targeting a U.S. base in Qatar. Iran's move in retaliation to the U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. ABC's James Longman reporting from Iraq.
Many people will feel this was suicidal by Iran. It's already beleaguered. It's had its key leadership killed. It's had its armed forces decimated. Israel now controls the skies. And although this may be face-saving, which shouldn't surprise us because there's form there, the response from the U.S. to this could trigger further events inside Iran.
ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has the latest on what President Trump has said about Iranian retaliation.
President Trump Saturday night said any retaliation by Iran would be met with what he called, quote, force far greater than what was witnessed that night. There are 40,000 U.S. military personnel in the Middle East. 10,000 are stationed at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, targeted by Iran on Monday. The president Saturday night signaled future attacks against Iran.
If peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
President Trump is calling for the U.S. and other oil-producing economies to pump more oil as crude prices remain volatile following U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. We will go more in-depth on the latest from the Middle East in just a moment. Governor Spencer Cox is issuing an executive order calling for the referendum on House Bill 267 be put on the 2026 ballot. The referendum looks to change the law passed by lawmakers that bans public employees from using unions to collectively bargain. This comes after a massive statewide effort to collect enough signatures so the issue could be decided by Utah voters. We are hearing from listeners that they've been feeling shaking all day. Hill Air Force Base, Tooele Army Depot, both had planned detonations this week. Public Affairs Officer Kendall Johnson says it's no need to panic.
Just knowing in advance that these are happening, there's no reason to call the news or be concerned at all. They can just expect that they might hear something in the next week.
The booms are to be the loudest in Davis County and possibly Salt Lake. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow up by 320 points, about 0.75%, sitting at 42,526. S&P up by 47. The NASDAQ up by 168 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. And here's Ricky Meese.
No crashes on the Valley freeways. We do have the slowdown southbound I-15 between the Kaysville Ponds and Park Lane in Farmington with the work zone in that area. Don't miss the 91st Annual Ute Stampede Rodeo with Extreme Bulls on July 9th through 12th. Athletes and explosive entertainment combined with music, food, and multiple days of family fun. Visit UtestampedeRodeo.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures climbing over the next few days. 78 for a high today, 84 tomorrow, 88 Wednesday, up to 97 by Saturday. Right now, 66 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent from Alpine Home Medical.
and I'm humbled to win Utah's Best of State for 2025 for the 15th year in a row. After 28 years, we're all about you. Over 1,700 5-star Google reviews and a 4.8 customer satisfaction score to prove it. We'll keep working hard for you. I've spent this year advocating with lawmakers for better Medicare reimbursement, ensuring you always have the best access to medical supplies you need. From Idaho Falls to St. George, our 11 stores are your home for comfort. When you hear Alpine Home Medical, think of that best of state experience every single time. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Whoa. More fiber?
What?
Down here, buddy. It's me, your spoon. Constipation with belly pain still coming back?
Yeah.
Talk to your doctor. It could be irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, but Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Shaking and loud booms across the Wasatch Front today, causing many people to be on edge. This especially due to the escalating situation in the Middle East. Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Not to worry about the blasts here. They are controlled detonations of old rocket motors by the Department of Defense. But that's not the case in Qatar, where Iran has fired several missiles against that country. Iran has launched the missiles in the direction of a U.S. military base there that is pivotal for coordinating and executing operations in the region. More from ABC's Ian Pannell in Tel Aviv.
Many people will feel this was suicidal by Iran. It's already beleaguered. It's had its key leadership killed. It's had its armed forces decimated. Israel now controls the skies. And although this may be face-saving, which shouldn't surprise us because there's form there, the response from the U.S. to this could trigger further events inside Iran.
The U.S. saying that there were no casualties from Iran's strikes on Qatar. All of this coming as part of the growing tension between Israel and Iran and after the U.S. fired rockets at Iran over the weekend. Megan Reese, non-resident senior fellow at the Scowcroft Center for Strategy and Security and the founder and CEO of Solid Intel, spoke to me this morning about the political relationship between Israel, Iran, and the United States.
The U.S., Israel, and Iran have a very long and historic relationship where the U.S. and Israel are essentially Iran's greatest adversaries. Going back to the founding of Israel, the U.S. and Iran were actually friendly, but after the revolution in the late 70s, the U.S. became the adversary, the great Satan to the Iranians. The Iranians have really focused on the destruction of Israel rhetorically and have funded militarily many efforts, both themselves and through proxy states, military maneuvers against Israel to cause death and destruction. And so in this long historic context, we're now in a position where Israel is very convicted that Iran has been developing nuclear weapons to use against Israel. And President Trump agrees with that assessment, and that is where we are today.
Explain for us, first of all, why Iran wants to get rid of Israel. Why is that important to them?
There is a lot of historic context to this, but when it comes down to it, Iran is an Islamist regime, and the Jewish state is antithetical to this Iranian regime. So starting from the beginning, a lot of folks will really focus on the Palestinian question with answering why Iran wants to do away with Israel. They'll turn to the Israelis have oppressed the Palestinians by pushing some Palestinians off of Israeli land at the founding of Israel. But I actually disagree with that assessment. I think that it is more foundationally that the Iranians do not want Jews in the neighborhood. I think that this has a lot more to do with Israel being a Jewish state and controlling land in the region that, it, again, is run by Jews. It's a much more it's hard for Americans to comprehend because Americans think more strategically about these issues. They don't really focus on religion as the origin of conflict in quite the same way. And we really need to put ourselves in the shoes of the people in this region and understand that actually hatred of Jews can be very extreme and can lead to geopolitical decision-making in the region from regimes like the Islamist Iranians.
The president has said that after these attacks, this should promote peace. In your opinion, does this promote peace, or what do you foresee happening now?
If these attacks by the Americans and Israelis lead to the destruction of the Iranian nuclear program and don't lead to mass retaliation in an ongoing conflict scenario, we could actually see a relative peace as a result of this, because it would mean that Israel is no longer threatened by a near nuclear or nuclear Iran, which they are very, very convicted they would use against the Israeli state. So if this actually leads to the destruction of the Iranian nuclear program, the Israelis will feel much more confident, and you could see that there is a significant reduction in actual kinetic activity coming from the Israeli side. I'm not as convicted that the Iranians won't continue bankrolling terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah, Houthis, others in the region. So I imagine it won't lead to total peace. But if this is a confined scenario where they pretty much only focus on taking out the nuclear program of the Iranians, I do see a reduction in violence coming from this.
Many of us feel that Iran is just so far away. Should the U.S., we're wondering, should the U.S. really be involved in this?
The U.S. has significant interests in this region. You may think that it is far away on the map, and of course it is, but we traverse the seas in that region to deliver goods, to deliver energy. We have economic ties to many nations in that region. We have military ties in this region. And significantly, we also have significant religious ties to this region. Christians, Jews, Muslims, we all have connections to locations in Israel. And so the continued ability of U.S. persons to be able to go to Israel and to be friends with this nation, which is open and tolerant to people of many faiths, is extremely significant, which is why the U.S. really wants to support Israel in its right to self-defense and making sure that there is not a nuclear attack against it on its own territory.
Much of the discussion following the weekend's attacks on Iran is whether or not what the president did is constitutional. Many are saying he declared an act of war, something only Congress can do. Others say he was well within his rights as commander-in-chief to take out what he said were imminent threats to the safety and well-being of America. The discussion comes down to the War Powers Act, which restricts what a president can do in terms of war and foreign conflict. On Inside Sources today, co-host Holly Richardson asked KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas, are we at war in the United States?
Well, certainly Israel and Iran are at war. And whether the United States is or not,
remains to be seen. And I think there are so many facets to this. So you're right. The Constitution of the United States specifically has what we call the Wars Power Act. It's in Article 1, which is the article that deals with the legislature.
Right.
And it says that the legislature, Congress, has the power to declare war and to make rules concerning captives on land and water. So Congress has the power to declare war. Having said that, Holly, the last time Congress declared war was in 1942.
That would be World War II.
That would be World War II, and I was assuming that would have been shortly after Pearl Harbor was bombed or thereabouts. So the Constitution does provide that Congress has that power and the President doesn't. However, the President is defined under Article 3. The President is the commander-in-chief of the military, and so he runs the military. So on the one hand, Congress can tell him what to do, but he's the one that is in charge of the military.
But could Congress actually act and declare a war? Scortis tells KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi that he isn't too sure there is a desire for that kind of thing right now, even within the Republican-led majority.
I think Congress needs to act, and I don't think Congress has an appetite right now to have a declaration of war, especially not in the Middle East. We just have had too many problems there over the last several decades with sort of these endless wars. If it's just a one-off, it was just the United States going in and bombing some nuclear facilities, Congress might say, okay, we're good, now stop. We're not authorizing anything else. But I really don't see Congress, even the Republican majority in Congress right now, enacting a declaration of war.
In the wake of the U.S. taking out 3 nuclear sites in Iran, the Department of Homeland Security has issued a warning of a heightened threat environment. Among the possible threats are anti-Semitic hate crimes and cyber attacks, both of which the DHS says are on the rise. News Nation's Mills Hayes reports.
According to the Anti-Defamation League, between 2019 and 2024, anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. went up 344%. And according to cybersecurity company Checkpoint, in the first quarter of 2025, globally, cyber attacks per organization increased by 47%. This recent warning includes the possibility of low-level cyber attacks.
Iran is listed among the top cybersecurity threat actors targeting the United States. They're up there with Russia, with China, and North Korea as well.
You think about Iran, it's like they don't have anything kinetic, physical that can throw at us, but they can certainly mount a great cyber security attack, hacking attack our way.
The hackers' goals include large-scale damage and disruption.
It would be large businesses, it would be electric grids, it would be water utilities, it would be municipalities, it would also be any state agencies that they've infiltrated or federal agencies that they've infiltrated.
This isn't the first time Iran has launched a cyber attack against the U.S.
They've targeted water facilities here in the U.S. They targeted President Trump's presidential campaign last year in 2024.
The experts warn it's time for people, businesses, and cities to protect themselves by scanning for vulnerabilities and backing up core data.
We really aren't taking it seriously enough.
The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center reported over $16.6 billion in losses to the U.S. in 2024. That's a 33% increase from the year before.
At the end of the day, our gross domestic product is what we have to protect, right? Our gross domestic product is the perfect proxy for our geopolitical power. There's a reason why, Trump is using tariffs to get everybody in line.
News Nation's Mill Hayes there, and she says another thing to be cautious of is AI-generated fake news reports. Stay with KSL News Radio as we continue to follow the developing situation unfolding in the Middle East. We'll have updates live on air and online at kslnewsradio.com. Several wildfires burning in southern Utah today. We will get the latest numbers and a message from Governor Cox on the fires in just a few minutes. But first, it's KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
A new accident. This is northbound Bangerter Highway about a mile prior to North Temple. Looks like UHP has just arrived and everyone is out of traffic on the right shoulder, so no delay. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only. Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Market volatility isn't slowing down. If you're nearing retirement, now is not the time to wait and see. Every day of uncertainty can put your future at risk. It's time to diversify. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I want you to know you can create certainty, locking in guaranteed income for life. This means predictable, stable cash flow, even in turbulent times. You've worked too hard to leave your retirement to chance. Right now, there are options to receive up to 30% upfront or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't wait. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any examples provided are hypothetical. Annuities are issued with prospectus and sales brochures and should be reviewed carefully before funding as features and benefits vary. DBA in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
So, you want to be a hero. Here are some ways to get the job. Hunt down that killer shark. Or run into a burning house to save a kitten. Luckily, there's an easier way to become a hero. Call 911 if you see someone experiencing the symptoms of stroke, sudden weakness on one side, or trouble speaking, walking, or seeing. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. You'll be a real hero. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared.
Prevent your child's next asthma attack. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. 3 wildfires continue to burn in southern Utah, prompting evacuations and concerns of even further wildfire growth. The Forsyth Fire continues to burn near Pine Valley and Grass Valley in Washington counties. Candy Stevenson is the Public Information Officer for the Great Basin Incident Management Team, which is now overseeing the Forsyth Fire. What is the latest on that fire this afternoon?
Still remains at 7,045 acres. We'll probably have a new updated acres tomorrow morning after we can get some flights up overnight. Usually we get an infrared flight overnight that verifies acres for us. So we'll have that for you in the morning. And still 0% contained, and 13 homes have burned, and a few more structures, including some outbuildings and things. I don't have the final number on that, but it's somewhere around 17 for buildings burned.
So what caused the fire?
It is confirmed that it was a lightning strike. Now, the lightning strike happened several days before we saw the fire start. It was what's called a holdover. Firefighters see this very frequently. Often they'll go out and patrol areas after a thunderstorm to look for any burned out trees. So most of the time, those fires will burn themselves out because the thunderstorms have also had enough rain involved with them that just it was wetted the fuels around them, and it just burned itself out. This time, it was something where the tree continued to smolder until the wind, it got dried out enough, and then the wind picked it up and caused the fire.
How about the weather over the next few days? Is it looking favorable to firefighting or fire growth?
Yeah, the operations were sounding very hopeful this morning. The weather was more favorable for us yesterday and into today and for the next 2 days. So we have 4 good days now to try to get a better handle on the fire, get some containment lines in there. It will still be wind driven because although we have lower speed winds, there's still gusts of up to 15 miles per hour, and on those ridges it still carries the fire. We're still expecting the fire to grow on the southern slopes and make run up the southern slopes and back down the northern slopes in those areas that are still uncontained. But the firefighters are concentrated very heavily on mopping up around the homes, so we don't expect any more much activity around the homes in Pine Valley, but they're securing that area. So we may have some updated containment tomorrow. However, sometimes containment takes a while because the firefighters are trying to make absolute sure that those lines are going to hold, so they want to make sure they're ground truthing those, so it takes some time.
What would you tell someone who may not live in the area but is thinking about visiting or heading south in the next week?
Yeah, if someone is looking to visit here, there's still so many lovely places to visit here. I would just say that on the Dixie National Forest right now, there are 2 large fires ongoing. The France Canyon is also on the Dixie National Forest. There are forest closures associated with the fires. So that's to keep people out of the area, out of danger, and so that we don't have a search and rescue operation that we have to do on top of firefighting activities. So just to be aware of those areas. But other than that, there's so many beautiful places and wonderful places to visit down here. So, and most of what I've seen from air quality, most of the towns around here, I've been into St. George and towns all around where the fire area is, and there are some smoke effects, but it's not very bad. I would just look at some of those. We have air quality reports that will be coming out pretty soon. I know the France Canyon fires put out smoke outlooks, so they have those associated with that fire. We're going to have some soon. So people can at least go to airnow.gov is the website they can visit to get the latest smoke reports for a certain area down here. And so they can find out that ahead of time. But yeah, there's still lovely places to visit here.
That is Candy Stevenson with the Great Basin Incident Management Team. Governor Cox says the limited destruction from the Forsyth fire so far, at least, is nothing short of a miracle.
It's a combination of a lot of really great work and a little bit of luck, but I believe in some divine intervention as well. Everybody I've talked to, if you've never been on a fire, and I have, where you have winds at 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, when you have conditions as dry as they are right now, there's a ferocity to it. There were spotting a mile away. You'll see just random spots out in the middle of this valley, far from where the fire was burning. And again, the fire crews jumping on those spots are what kept it from being far more disastrous than it was. This entire subdivision, I still don't know how they saved this subdivision over here. It makes no sense to me when you go look at where the fire got to and where it didn't. Brave people putting themselves in harm's way to stop that fire is the only way it happened.
The fire is burning near Pine Valley, a picturesque valley that's home to the longest continually used chapel for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Governor Cox says the church has survived.
It's breathtaking in the wrong kind of way. You see it's smoking all around here. It looks like Mordor or something as you drive in. It really is awful. And yet, again, this is a very historic place. You drive in and you see that white church that survived, that has been here for so long. And those are the things that give people hope and give people hope to come back and rebuild.
Stay up to date on the latest fires around the state, along with ways that you can be more prepared for wildfires by visiting KSLNewsRadio.com. Just click Utah Fire Watch at the top of the homepage. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. More expensive city services, but less taxpayers to pay for it? I'll tell you what West Jordan might do. Water-wise landscaping, a growing trend in Utah, and KSL traffic, Ricky.
We do have officers working to clean up a crash on 13th East. This is at about 1900 South, and they are in the final clearing stages. Also, a small accident out of traffic on the shoulder northbound Bangerter Highway, about a mile prior to North Temple. Maria?
And we are looking for a high today in the 70s, but the temperature just rising over the next few days. Let's get the latest now from ABC News.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. After Iran launched missiles targeting a U.S. base in Qatar, a U.S. official says there were no other attacks on U.S. bases in the Middle East. The official also says there are no reports of damage at the Central Command regional base. ABC's James Longman is in Iraq, where other U.S. troops remain on high alert and say Israeli strikes have worked to cobble Iran's nuclear and military capabilities in the months after October 7th attacks, along with its proxies in the region.
This time round, though, they have fewer proxies at their disposal. Yes, there are still militias in Iraq that still function broadly in the way that they have been before the Hamas attack on October 7th, but other proxies really have been degraded. If you just look at Syria, which sits between the two countries, of course, Bashar al-Assad, really a key ally of the Iranian regime.
President Trump meeting with his national security team in the Situation Room today. The question now, how will the U.S. respond? This is ABC News.
KSL's top local stories. Local experts are weighing in on the situation between the U.S. and Iran, saying Utah could eventually become a target of Iranian retaliation. But John McClure with the UVU Center for National Security Studies says retaliation likely wouldn't be physical.
The main concern, I would say, would be cyber threats and vulnerabilities to critical infrastructure that could be exploited.
McClure says, though, he's not very worried because he feels Utah is more prepared for a cyber attack than most states and that we wouldn't be the only state targeted, if at all. There is now an Amber Alert out in Idaho for two children who may be headed to Utah. 13-year-old Alan Fisher and 15-year-old Rachel Fisher were last seen around 7 o'clock last night in Monte View, Idaho. Authorities believe that they may be headed to an FLDS group in Cache Valley with an adult sibling. They are possibly in a gray Honda sedan with Utah plates. If you have any information, you should reach out to police. About 280 firefighters are battling the Forsyth fire in Washington County, which grew 2,000 acres overnight. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has more.
The fire is still 0% contained and has now burned 7,045 acres. That's according to spokeswoman for the Great Basin Incident Management Team, Candy Stevenson. She tells inside sources the cooler weather and decreased winds allowed teams to drop retardant in the area, so right now, no homes are at risk.
Unfortunately, Stevenson says 13 homes have been destroyed in the fire. The France Canyon fire is also burning in southern Utah. The fire near Bryce Canyon grew over the last 24 hours from just shy of 16,000 to over 23,000 acres. It's now about 10% contained. Other local stories KSL is following. More Utahns support legalizing recreational marijuana use for adults in the state. KSL News Radio's Virl Johansson has more.
53% of people surveyed by the Deseret News and Hinckley Institute of Politics either strongly or somewhat supported legalizing recreational marijuana. That's a 13% increase in support from last year. Utah Senate President Stuart Adams and House Speaker Mike Schultz both say they oppose expanding marijuana use for anything other than medical purposes.
Utah first passed a law allowing medicinal marijuana in 2014. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is up by 311 points, 0.75%, sitting at 42,516. S&P up by 48. The NASDAQ is up by 167 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have a report of a possible structure fire, 90th South near 1100 West. There is a little bit of backup in the area, but I think you can still get through, so I don't think traffic is obstructed. And then we also have Traffic being getting around this accident just fine northbound Bangor Highway prior to North Temple, and the final cleanup of a crash at 1900 South and 1300 East. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Headed for a high of 78 degrees today. Very pleasant temperatures, up to 84 tomorrow, 97 by the weekend. 68 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Tonight on KSL, a Utah property with a remarkable past.
So here's the legendary pool that everybody talks about.
From Hollywood Hideaway.
It's also said that Marilyn Monroe spent some time here.
To urban legend.
It was kind of a spooky thing.
And it could all be yours. KSL takes you inside this unique location and the search for a new owner to restore the glory.
I can only imagine what it would have been like to spend some time here back in the heyday.
Hints of Hollywood, Utah's legendary listing, tonight at 10 on KSL.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
If you need to hire, you know it takes time. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You simply pick a time and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day.
Try Zip Intro for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
Nothing says summer like double rewards on your Mountain America Rewards credit card. Get 2 times the points on everything from gas and groceries to travel and home projects. Now through July 31st, 2025. Oh, wow. It's the perfect way to stretch your dollar and make summer doubly rewarding. Apply for your Mountain America Rewards credit card at macu.com/double. Loans on approved credit. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply.
You were listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. More expensive city services, but less taxpayer dollars? It might become a reality in West Jordan. The city's proposed budget actually reduces property taxes by about 1%, even as city services are becoming more expensive. West Jordan City Council Office Director Alan Anderson tells KSL News Radio's Josue Sanchez the reason is new businesses are footing the bill.
Well, good news. It's going to go down a tiny bit. There was new growth in the city as new businesses come in and new developments get built. So there's new revenue that comes into the city offset that. And that's because the council's really taken a proactive approach in getting commercial business, just business to come into the city. So there's data centers that have come in. There's a new Home Depot that opened up. We've got a number of grocery stores. There's a couple data centers that have opened up, and those new growth helped offset some of the expense growth. I won't say it's the biggest change, but one of the changes is that one of the general obligation bonds was paid off this year, and that would normally reduce taxes by 4%. The bond is paid off, so that decreases property tax by 4%. And the mayor and the city council are recapturing 3% of that. They could have gone all 4%. But the city is going through a truth in taxation process. The public hearing will be August 19th for that truth in taxation. But the end result is a very small tax decrease for most of the residents.
Utah Taxpayers Association President Billy Hesterman says now is the time for residents to let the council know if they support the proposed budget or not. He says it's important for homeowners to understand where their money is being spent, especially in areas requesting an increase in a tight economy.
What I would hope they would do is to get to know their city council representatives and their school board representatives and, build a relationship with them so that they can have an opportunity to have a good dialogue about what is the city or the school district asking for? Why do they need additional money? Is it we're hiring new police officers, or we're getting more firefighters, or we need more administrative staff at City Hall. You know, have the justification conversation. Make sure that the elected officials are giving all the reasons of why the money is needed. And that can then give a resident the opportunity to decide, you know, do I agree? Do I think that we need more of these services? Do we need more employees? Or do I think that's too much? And, you know, however they feel on that, then they can attend the meeting and give their opinion to the elected officials and let them know, you know what, we agree with you. We think you're going in the right direction. Or, you know what, you need to be like our family. Our family this past year has had to cut back on vacations and eating out. And, you know, we've had to cut our budget, and we think it's time for the city to cut its budget too.
Hesterman says it's also important for homeowners to recognize that while we all feel that we're paying too much in taxes, city officials have a lot of things to balance when it comes to the budget.
I think it's important for us to remember, you know, these taxes are paying for our roads, they're paying for the parks, they're paying for potentially the water systems, or the, you know, the gutters, and the different things that help make our cities the wonderful places they are to live. So we do have to take into that balance of, you know, am I enjoying the experience I'm having, or is it too much and now we're on the nice to haves and I don't want to pay more? And I can certainly, you know, side with anyone who's saying I'm paying too much in taxes. We all are, but we do have to recognize that they do pay for something.
West Jordan residents can weigh in on the city's proposed budget at a public hearing on August 19th. Water-wise landscapes. You've heard about them for several years now. You've heard me talk about them on the Greenhouse Show on Saturday mornings, and you've heard me and Ton talk about it too. Well, today, just a short time ago, in fact, Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson unveiled what she says is the future of water-wise yards and landscapes. Now, this is all part of the Slow the Flow effort. Joining me now to talk more about the landscaping that saves water is Tage Flint, the Executive Director and CEO of Utah Waterways. Tage, good to talk to you again.
Hi, Maria. Good to hear you.
Talk to us about this. Tell us a little bit about these new water-wise landscapes that were just unveiled.
Sure. We are really excited about this project. Ultimately, this summer, we're going to have 4 landscapes, which will be demonstrating different looks, different types of yards, but all with one common theme, which is water efficiency. And the first one was unveiled in Taylorsville today, and super excited about the fact that we are creating these really nice-looking, low-maintenance landscapes that are going to use half or less the water that a normal Utah landscape uses.
Talk about the importance of doing this, Tage. I mean, I know in the past people have thought that xeriscaping just meant a lot of rocks.
Right. And it was a stigma that was attached to xeriscape and other type words you hear out there. What we're promoting here is something much more usable and much more aesthetically pleasing. It's still going to have lush green in it. It's going to have really nice looking hardscapes in it, less turf, and something that's very pleasing to the eye. We just did a poll a few months ago of Utahns. We're finding that there's a shift in what we think is the most aesthetically pleasing yards out there. And it's more shift towards these more planter mulch areas with plant life in them, as opposed to just turf wall to wall.
Right. Describe for us some of the plants that you've included in this current landscape.
Right. So a very good hybrid of sod. So the place where there is a recreational area of sod is one of some of a fine fescue that has been engineered to use a lot less water and still be green and still soft when you walk on it. So very excited about that. And then all of the perennials that are in the yard, which it takes up most of the other plants in the mulch areas, are those that have been bred to survive well in Utah spring, summer, and falls, so that you have some bloom and some greenery mixed throughout the growing season.
Tage, tell us more about the hybrid Bermuda grass.
Right. So credit to those who are developing these new turfs that they just simply require less water to stay green and lush. And now the trick for us is to educate Utahns on how to back off on the irrigation and allow these turfs to stay green and use a lot less water. And the reason we pick on turf a lot, Maria, is because we just see that per square foot, there's so much more water going on the turf areas than any other place in the yard.
So for a second, I mean, a lot of us, when we hear the word Bermuda grass, we just kind of get scared. So tell us about this Bermuda grass and how much water will it actually save?
Right. So this grass is, I'm told by our horticulturists, is requiring half of what Kentucky bluegrass would require, and so we're very excited about that. And it's still soft and very fine bladed. So it's different than the old Bermuda grasses that we used to deal with.
Okay, but is it invasive?
Not to my knowledge. I've been assured by our horticulturists that this will stay in its limits.
Okay, let's talk about water conservation in general. What are some things, simple things that homeowners can do to save water?
Sure. The first of all is to make sure you have a good controller that's controlling your irrigation so that when it does rain, it doesn't come on during those rain events. The second thing is then to start making sure that you have zones in your yard that are watering only the type of plant, similar types of plants, so that we don't overwater one area to keep something else alive. And then simply reduce our turf areas to the places where we recreate. One of the rules we like to send out there is that only time you walk on that turf is to mow it, it's probably time to reduce it.
And where can people go if they want more information on how they can be more water wise? Are there some good resources?
Yes. If you would please go to slowtheflow.org. We have a ton of good information there. And also an opportunity for every Utahn to receive rebates and incentive programs via that webpage. So you can go on there. Every Utahn is at least eligible for some rebates if you go to that page.
All right, Tage, thanks so much for being with me. That is Tage Flint, the Executive Director and CEO of Utah Waterways. Midday with Maria Shilaos continues in just 60 seconds.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Protein powder continues to grow in popularity. More and more Americans are trying to grow their muscles with lots of protein, and protein supplements seem to be the way to go. Gen Z men are approaching protein a bit differently than other generations. That's according to a new study. I spoke with Stephanie Kyle, a registered dietitian, to get more information. So tell me about this new research and what it's finding about how Gen Z men are using fitness supplements.
Yes. So fitness supplements that we are finding within these Gen Zers are often utilized because they don't fully understand the industry. They have these goals that they're working towards, usually physique and fitness oriented, and they appear really healthy, but then they start to turn into some disordered behaviors of relying on these supplements or cutting back on their food intake to afford these supplements. While not all supplements are actually FDA regulated, so therefore it's not tested that these are proven to be safe, actually.
Let's talk about what these supplements are. What are we talking about exactly, and how are they using them?
Yes. So it depends on the individual of what true supplement they are looking for. Most are going to be geared toward testosterone boosting or hormone producing, usually to help with muscle development. Some of them will use like pre-workout, so creatine based, to give them like this false energy boost that comes from these supplements. And so they'll start to do and utilize those to have some muscle development. Maybe they saw a fitness influencer repping a certain brand, and that's what they're going to try to utilize because they trust those fitness influencers that are not always actually experts in what they're talking about.
So how do they know if the products that they're taking are safe?
Yeah, so diving into some research is actually going to be really helpful, or actually looking into that product. Usually you want it to have like third-party tested, and knowing that it's actually going to have and utilize the ingredients that they're claiming are in there is going to be helpful. Or talk with an expert that actually knows what to look for and can talk a little bit more in depth as to, hey, these things maybe are going to be helpful and these things might not be helpful.
Why has the FDA kind of taken a hands-off approach on most of these?
So it's not so much that they've taken a hands-off approach. It's just different systems that they have in place of companies can promote a product without having to prove that it's safe until a couple of years. And a lot of these companies will take advantage of what the FDA does, but every single supplement does need to go through that process. The FDA will have eyes on it eventually. And that's why many of these things don't last on the market much longer than a couple of years.
So I don't think we want to scare people into thinking that they're all unsafe, right? We want them just
Correct.
to be more informed.
Yes. And that's why I say do some research, talk to an expert. So talk to a dietitian, talk to your doctor who could have a little bit more expertise in understanding what this product holds, what is it going to benefit, and is this a safe subject for you to be like taking, because some also can counteract with other medications. So again, really need to talk to your medical professionals to have a little bit more of that insight. Not all supplements are harmful. Should we take them? Yes, if they are being recommended from somebody that is a health professional.
Let's talk a little bit more about the behavior and how that can be a concern with men skipping meals.
Yes. So that is definition of disordered eating. Everyone needs to be eating 3 meals, multiple snacks throughout the day. And if you start to not consume meals because you're trying to either afford certain things, so like affording a supplement, speaking volumes of disordered eating. If you're skipping out on social activities because you're so strict in what we need to consume, or you're following a plan by a fitness provider that doesn't fully have a lot of expertise in the field of nutrition, red flags to say like, hey, what's going on within this person?
So this research really highlights men. Why men? What's going on with men? Why are they feeling, this kind of performance pressure?
Yes, I think it speaks to an underrepresented population that eating disorders and disordered eating really does impact. It is highly not caught in this population because physique is usually the driving force, right? Social media, I think, has been a huge indicator and factor for this big push to happen, because this whole ideal of what people are striving for in the physique area, and they'll start to skip or start to finagle what their meals are looking like to reach these aesthetic goals. All of that really speaking volumes of disordered eating, and that men are just an underrepresented population where 74% of men are going to be impacted by an eating disorder or disordered eating. They just don't always recognize it.
That was registered dietitian Stephanie Kyle. A warning from Amazon executives about artificial intelligence. That story in just a few minutes. But first, it's KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
We do have a stalled vehicle in traffic eastbound SR 201 at 8400 West. It's blocking a right lane at the intersection. Jordan Valley Water says we're using about 12% more water than last year, even though we don't need to. Do your part. Water one day less each week. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Regardless of how old your air conditioner is, there are a few things you can do to help it last as many summers as possible. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and like so many things in our life, it's easy to take our air conditioner for granted. If you keep a clean filter, rinse the outdoor unit off every once in a while, and have it serviced once a summer, you can reduce your risk of unexpected breakdowns. But eventually it will break down, and if someone tells you that your only option is to replace it, don't be afraid to get a second opinion. You could save thousands of dollars repairing it instead of replacing it. Any Hour rarely comes across an air conditioner that just can't be repaired. That doesn't mean you won't choose to replace it anyway, but being told you don't have options, that's not cool. So if you want honest answers and straightforward options, give Any Hour Services a call. And remember, every week this summer, Any Hour Services is giving away an air conditioner to one lucky customer as part of our Coolest Summer Sweepstakes. No purchase is necessary. You can see official rules or schedule your service at anyhour.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Visit the contest page on KSLNewsRadio.com. This week, you can win tickets to Western Stampede. Don't miss the West Jordan Stampede and Rodeo, celebrating 70 years, July 3rd through the 5th. Or win tickets to Barry Manilow, coming to the Maverick Center for the last time on July 14th. Plus, win free tickets to Lagoon or an upcoming Real Salt Lake home match. Text the word contest to 57500 or go to KSLNewsRadio.com/contests.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
For more than 75 years, University of Maryland Global Campus has given you the opportunity to build your next success. Choose from more than 135 degree and certificate programs in career-relevant fields like business, healthcare, data analytics, cybersecurity, and more. Plus, we offer 100% online and hybrid courses, personalized advising, and lifetime career services. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Attention RVers! In 57 years, Motorsportsland has never had a sale like this before. We've got over 100 new models coming in and our lots are already almost full. We've got to clear out inventory fast, so we've selected over 100 new travel trailers, fifth wheels, and toy haulers to sell to you at or below dealer cost. Like our 2024 Encore Venue off-road travel trailer, MSRP at $30,000, normally priced at $25,000, dealer cost at $22,400, and this week only priced to you for below $17,000 with amazing financing options. Or our 2024 28-foot Stealth toy hauler fifth wheel, MSRP at $99,330, normally priced at $83,500, this week only $67,743. Save more than ever before on your dream RV, but these deals are disappearing quick, so visit a Motorsportsland RV Center today.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. A warning from Amazon CEO over the increasing use of artificial intelligence. ABC's Mike Dubusky has more in today's tech trends.
In a new blog post, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy is warning that advances in artificial intelligence will end up reducing the size of Amazon's workforce.
Unfortunately, it feels like the cat is out of the bag with this kind of announcement.
Victoria Song of The Verge says Jassy didn't outline how many people would be affected by AI-related layoffs, but did advise employees to educate themselves about the technology.
I think obliquely, he's asking them to kind of make a case for being a great AI user.
But Song says generative AI is an imperfect technology.
It's sort of like the tracks are being laid before the train at this moment.
Even still, Jassy calls AI the most transformative technology since the internet, and Song says he's likely not the only tech leader thinking this way.
Jassy coming out and saying this, unfortunately, sets a precedent, and I feel more companies will be emboldened to make the same kind of announcement.
With Tech Trends, I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
In the next hour of Midday, we'll go in depth on the NBA draft and how the Jazz's picks look going into next week. Stay with us, won't you?
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Fireworks are going on sale tomorrow, but...
So we're not in the window to light fireworks yet. That doesn't happen until 2 days before the 4th. So July 2nd is actually the first day that we can legally discharge fireworks.
The time is 2 o'clock on Monday, June 23rd, and it's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, the warnings for those of you who might try to blast off before the state allows it. Also this hour...
We're ready to go and looking forward that the people of Utah get to make that decision and get a voice and a vote.
It's official and coming soon to your ballot, a referendum on public labor unions and collective bargaining. But first, our top stories. There were no fatalities in Iran's strike against a U.S. airbase in Qatar today.
President Trump on Monday continued to insist that Iran's nuclear sites were, quote, totally destroyed by the U.S. strikes on Saturday. A full battle damage assessment is still pending. The president's post on social media contradicting the message from Vice President Vance on Sunday, who did not go that far.
We set the Iranian nuclear program back substantially last night.
The vice president said that was the goal of the strikes. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Meanwhile, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says the top congressional leadership were not briefed on this strike, which is required according to the Constitution. Jeffries says that he does support aiding Israel's defense, but...
That is different than making sure that the Trump administration, in a democracy, follows the law, follows the Constitution, and does what's in the best interest of the national security of the American people.
Iran today said the attack that they launched matched the number of bombs dropped by the U.S. on Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend. Iran also said it targeted the base because it was outside of populated areas. Those comments suggest Iran wanted to de-escalate with the U.S. Nearly 150 million Americans are under heat alerts today in the first widespread heat wave of the season. ABC's Kevin Roth has more.
It's actually hotter in New York for the next couple of days than in Houston, and that's telling you something, right? That heat-humidity combo that you're used to in the South along the Gulf Coast, that's streaming all the way up into the 95 corridor, and it is not just typical summertime heat. This is extreme heat. This is record-breaking heat, and this is dangerous heat as well.
Some areas of the country could reach the highest temperatures they have seen in more than a decade. Other national stories KSL is following. Tesla's first robo-taxis are officially on the road. Elon Musk's company launching its long-awaited self-driving taxi service in Austin, Texas.
For now, the service is limited to a handful of cars in a small area of the city. But Musk has big ambitions, not just for robo-taxis, but for every Tesla.
By the end of next year, we'll have hundreds of thousands, if not over 1 million Teslas doing self-driving in the U.S.
Tesla calling this a precursor to the Cybercab, which the company says will go into production next year.
ABC's Andrew Dimbert reporting. Taking a look at your money at this moment at the close, the Dow ending up 374 points, nearly a full percent, sitting at 42,581. The NASDAQ up by nearly a percent as well, up 184 points, and the S&P 500 up by 57 points. Traffic and weather brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Ricky Meese.
Officers have blocked off the right lane and right shoulder of the ramp from eastbound SR 201 at 8400 West due to a stalled vehicle in that right lane of travel. And expect slow speeds southbound I-15 going through Davis County between Kaysville and Farmington due to road work. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Close to 80 for a high today. We'll hit 78 degrees, 84 degrees tomorrow, up to 97 degrees by Saturday, and not a chance of rain. Partly cloudy, 70 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Repair or replace your roof now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. 12 months interest-free financing. The highest value roofing job in Utah. Dial pound 250 and then say S&S Roofing.
We were living in a townhome renting at the time. We were ready to own our own house. Once we found a realtor, a world of possibilities opened up to us. We found a house that we really wanted, but we thought at first that it might be out of our price range, that we couldn't afford it. Our realtor was able to introduce us to state programs that help first-time home buyers, such as a state grant and state help to lower the interest rate. In the end, she made it possible so that we could buy a home.
Let an experienced realtor guide you. Go to myrealtorstory.com.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Fireworks go on sale in Utah tomorrow, and that could mean little fires everywhere if you're not careful. Thanks for tuning in to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Utah Fire Watch. We are continuing our coverage of fires and fire-related things across the state. Joining me now live to go in depth is Unified Fire Authority Public Information Officer Kelly Bird. Kelly, thanks for being with me.
Yeah, hi, Maria. Thank you.
So let's start with the dates. Fireworks go on sale tomorrow, but when can we actually light these?
So restrictions are in place for firework discharge until July 2nd. July 2nd is the very first day that you can do that. That stays open through July 5th, a time of 11 in the morning till 11 at night, with an extra hour on the 4th of July holiday till midnight. So that's your window of when you can legally discharge your fireworks. Anything outside of that would be an infraction.
UFA covers a lot of area. What areas are closed to fireworks?
Well, that's really hard to give an exact answer to because there are so many restricted areas within the county. That the best thing that I can offer and suggest to people is to go to our website, unifiedfire.org. Right there at the top of the page, you can click on a fireworks tab. It's right there right in front of you, and there's an interactive map. You can type in your address. You can kind of look around. It will show you if you live within a restricted area or if you are near a restricted area. And that's a really nice feature to give people the opportunity to make sure that they're doing it the right way.
Yeah, I was in the Dimpledale area over the weekend, and I saw a big sign saying no fireworks in this area. Are these mainly areas that just have more brush and are closer like to the mountains?
Yeah, typically, and you'll find it throughout the entire county, actually, where there are canals, there are vacant lots, there are fields, especially up against our wildland urban interface up on the East Bench, the West Bench, down in Harriman, Magna, those areas. And it's areas where there is a higher risk of fire starting. I mean, you mentioned in the intro, small fires, but small fires grow into big fires, and we want to definitely not have that happen.
Yeah, so talk about fireworks safety. I feel like we do this every year, but we still have fires, so we must need to continue to do it. How can we safely light fireworks?
Well, not only fires, but we also have a lot of injuries. We probably have a lot more injuries than actual fires. And so, we want people to make sure that they are taking the necessary steps to mitigate, losing a hand, losing fingers, knocking fireworks over and into crowds of people. So there's a few things that we want people to make sure that they're doing. And the big ones are, monitor the wind. If there's significant wind that could blow a firework over, that's dangerous. Make sure that you've got it on a flat surface. Make sure that you are well away from any structures, any trees. 30 feet is a good distance to make sure that you're not within those areas where it could go up and hit a house or hit a tree. And then just make sure that you're not allowing your young children to handle the anything that's flammable. The lighters, make sure that they're not lighting the fuses. A lot of times they can, in their excitement, can light a fuse and knock it over, and that can present a pretty big problem. So follow the instructions on the fireworks themselves, and just make sure that you're doing that in an area where you're not going to be creating any more risk.
I feel like we have a couple of cooler days and people just become a little more complacent. Well, tell us what the fire danger is this year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we've all enjoyed these last few days of these lighter temperatures and even a little bit of precipitation, but that's kind of a false pretense of what we have in front of us. Things are still super dry. In the upcoming week, we've got some higher temperatures coming back up into, I believe, the 90s. And with wind that can pick up at any time, those are all the red flag things that they look at, the humidity in the air, the dryness, the heat, the wind, and when those things all come together, we create that recipe for a big problem to potentially happen, and so we don't want that.
Okay. It's been a few years since we put the new regulations in place, or the new fireworks in place that actually leave the ground. Have we done better or worse as a result?
I don't have any actual data in front of me, but if I were to just give kind of my subjective opinion on that matter, I would say we've probably created more fires as a result. But again, that's just me sharing my opinion. So take that for what it's worth, I guess.
I appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me today.
Yep, of course. Thank you.
That is Unified Fire Authority Public Information Officer Kelly Bird. Governor Spencer Cox also warning about fireworks while speaking at a press conference about the Forsyth fire. While officials believe that fire was started naturally by lightning, the governor says human-caused fires can and should be prevented, especially when it comes to fireworks.
We're heading up to the 4th of July, which means there's going to be fireworks, and I just can't emphasize it enough. This is one of those years where go to the big fireworks shows, the professional displays, and just hold off on your personal fireworks. Same for the 24th, and hopefully we'll have some monsoon rains by then.
Stay with us. We'll be back with more on Utah Fire Watch in just 1 minute.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
When you choose Performance Automotive in Bountiful, you're choosing selection, convenience, and exceptional service. With 3 locations, Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, and Performance Toyota, Performance Automotive is here to serve your needs. Performance Automotive in Bountiful, where excellence comes standard. Start your search at performancebountiful.com.
We are continuing our special coverage, Utah Fire Watch. Weather playing a major role in the start and growth of wildfires across the state. Joining us now to talk about the weather over the next week is Monica Trapphagen with the National Weather Service. Monica, thanks for being with me. What's the weather looking like near these fires in southern Utah right now?
Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to stay quite dry. We had the trough come through over the weekend, and they gave us some relief from the heat and got us, raised the relative humidities a little bit over northern Utah. Unfortunately, southern Utah stayed extremely dry. Minimum relative humidity values around 10, some places in the single digits. And then what we're going to see over the next couple of days is not what we want to hear. It's an increase in wind, particularly over southern and eastern Utah, Tuesday into Wednesday. It's not going to be as gusty as last week, but we should see some breezy conditions in the vicinity of those fires, some gusts up to 30 miles per hour. And so that's not going to be good for the spread of the fire and those conditions. But, again, not as bad as last week. And then we do get another dry trough that moves through, and so we'll see a decrease in the winds for the latter half of the week. But we'll be getting gradually warmer. We'll be about normal for this time of year by Wednesday, and as we get to Thursday and Friday, our temperatures will be above normal.
Are these winds typical for this time of year?
It's not uncommon to see something like this. We've gotten this pattern where we have these slow-moving troughs off the Pacific, and they're causing an increase in winds. It's not atypical, but usually in June we see more high pressure over us and a tendency for lighter winds.
Right. So it was nice to get the relief over the weekend here in northern Utah. What should we expect for the rest of the week?
For northern Utah, we'll see the relative humidities going down, so things will get dry, stay dry. Could see a little bit of those breezy winds Tuesday into Wednesday as well, but they'll be strongest over southern and eastern Utah. And then for us, the temperature's increasing as well. We'll be about normal for this time of year on Wednesday. Thursday into Friday will be 5 to 10 degrees above normal, and that means mid-90s for the Wasatch Front.
How much of a difference does it make for fire danger when we do have that bit of a break and we get those cooler temperatures? Because we still have those high winds.
Right. Every little bit helps, and the relief from the wind that we got was probably the biggest thing for the fires Sunday into Monday, because increasing those winds increases the spread of the wildfires, and then would have liked to see some more precipitation, particularly over southern Utah. That would have helped decrease the fire danger quite a bit.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. I was looking at the 7-day forecast, and at least for northern Utah, there's not a chance of rain in the forecast.
No, very little. Like I said, we do have another trough coming through, but these troughs have had little in the way of moisture with them, and they're coming into an air mass that's already extremely dry. So, any showers that do develop, you're so dry at the lower levels that a lot of things evaporate before they hit the ground.
Mm-hmm. I was happy to see some rain on Saturday night that I wasn't expecting.
Right, for sure. We had a little bit of lake effect rain, which is not something you always see in June.
I have to ask you about that because it almost felt a little bit apocalyptic the way that storm moved in, like with a big dust storm.
Right. It was a very strong front and had very strong winds, more like a winter or spring storm there, but had strong gusty winds, 40 to 50 miles per hour gusts in some areas as that front came through, particularly in the West Desert, and that's why we got all that dust blown around.
Yeah, and the temperature drop. I mean, how much did it drop within just a very short period of time?
There, we had kind of two fronts. We had one front on Saturday that did some cooling, and then the front on Sunday that did some more. And I think with each of those had probably 10 to 15 degrees of cooling.
All right. We appreciate your help. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
And that is Monica Trapphagen with the National Weather Service. And you can stay up to date on the latest fires around the state, along with ways that you can be more prepared for wildfires by visiting KSLNewsRadio.com. You just click Utah Fire Watch at the top of the homepage. Just how close was Iran to developing nuclear weapons? President Trump says the U.S. launched missiles at Iran to keep the country from developing nuclear weapons. More on that in just a few minutes. But first, KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
Traffic has started backing up on that ramp going from eastbound SR 201 to exit at 8400 West, where we had a stalled vehicle at the bottom of the ramp in that right lane. It is just bus now pulling away, and officers will be opening up that right lane any moment now. Then on the very opposite side of the valley, we have an accident westbound I-80 about a mile prior to East Canyon. It's out of traffic on the shoulder. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Every success you've had began with a great opportunity. Now there's another one. Last aid year, University of Maryland Global Campus awarded over $21 million in scholarships to qualified students, including community college students, service members, veterans, and working adults. Now is the time to move your career forward with an online and accredited skills-based education. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Ugh, that hard water life, right, Utah? Scale buildup ruining your appliances, skin feeling rough, water tasting, well, less than amazing? There's a better way. Hi, this is the water boy Colson Firmage, and this is Culligan Water, your local water expert, making your water worries a thing of the past. We're talking top-rated water softeners and filters that protect your home, leave your skin feeling silky smooth, and make your water taste fantastic. For over 80 years, Culligan has been right here in Salt Lake City, a family tradition of cleaner water you can trust. Think of us as your friendly neighborhood water scientists. Is your current system even pulling its weight? Don't guess. Call us today for a free water test, no matter what make or model. Just dial 801-509-9602 or visit CulliganSLC.com. And for a limited time, get $1,000 off a new Culligan water filtration system, plus free salt delivery for a whole year. Experience the Culligan difference. Call 801-509-9602 or visit CulliganSLC.com. Culligan, water you'll love.
Hi, Grandma. What's for dinner?
Hey, honey, I'm making stew tonight.
Ooh, can Nina come over?
I'm not sure about our new friend. I wonder if there's been any drinking going on. Alcohol at her age can lead to so many bad things. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
This is hard. She's so young, but I know I need to talk to her about it now before someone tries to give her alcohol. If anyone ever does offer you a drink, I want you to say no. I have too much respect for my family, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
Really?
I promise, Grandma. I love you too.
Okay, how about tasting this stew and telling me what you think?
Some children may try alcohol as young as 9 years old. It's not too early to talk about drinking. For tips on how to begin the conversation, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. We're continuing to follow the latest on missile attacks in the Middle East. Today, Iran launched several missiles at Qatar. An anti-missile defense system caught those missiles and took them down without any loss of life. It comes after the U.S. fired missiles at key nuclear facilities in Iran on Saturday. When the president announced that he had sent bombers to Iran, he also posted on social media that now is the time for peace, but the word from Tehran is that the U.S. strikes will have lasting consequences. Colonel Stephen Gagnier joined Stephen Portnoy on the Start Here podcast to talk about what could potentially happen next in the Iran conflict. Portnoy's first question of the colonel, are we now at war?
I think the next few days will tell. The president has said that he's very happy with the strikes on the nuclear facilities. If the Iranians don't strike back at U.S. forces or U.S. allies in the region, this could be the end of U.S. involvement in the Israeli-Iranian war. If they come back and they cause casualties in the U.S. Troops that are deployed there, if they cause casualties and damage in our allies in the region, then we may be in for a much more prolonged and a much more involved U.S. military operation that will probably be called eventually war.
Let's talk about the risks of reprisals. Colonel, what is Iran capable of?
We have watched the Israelis over the past 9-10 days degrade the long-range ballistic missile capabilities of the Iranians. They've pushed them back to Isfahan, and so pushing them back farther away from Israel means that there are fewer missiles that the Iranians have that can reach Tel Aviv. That doesn't mean that they can't reach U.S. forces and allies in the region, because they still have thousands of shorter-range missiles with good accuracy. So after the Soleimani assassination, we know that the Iranians retaliated against al-Assad air base and injured about 100 U.S. troops there. So the real danger is whether they come back at some of the troops that are deployed in the region. Just about every one of the Gulf states, to include Saudi Arabia, has U.S. forces there. It's well known where they are. So if the Iranians want to come back at the U.S., it probably will not be against the ships at sea, but rather those troops that are stationed in each of these countries in the Persian Gulf region.
And there are tens of thousands of troops in the region. How close were the Iranians to developing a nuclear weapon? ABC's Mary Bruce covers the White House, and she joined Stephen Portnoy on the Start Here podcast to explain the factors that went into the president's decision.
I am told that the president gave that final order to the Secretary of Defense on Saturday. Other officials have said that he gave the final go-ahead actually just in the moments before the strike. We, of course, have seen those images now of the president with his national security team. They're huddling in the Situation Room watching all of this play out. But, in the week leading up to the strike, I'm told the president was continuing to push to pursue diplomacy.
Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
We had heard him, of course, giving himself that 2-week deadline to make this decision. That was an effort that was mostly led up through Special Envoy Witkoff to try and work out some kind of diplomatic solution, get Iran somehow back to the negotiating table. The president himself, we've learned, actually talked with Turkish President Erdogan, hoping that Turkey could help facilitate talks with Iran, but it simply was not to be. Sources say that Iran's supreme leader, fearing for his life, went into hiding and then wasn't able to approve of that meeting. And so as diplomacy was faltering, the Pentagon, we know now, was working on this parallel track to prepare these attacks, and then that final order coming in just minutes before.
What about the question of intelligence and Iran's intent to develop a nuclear weapon? Because the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, was asked about that on CBS yesterday.
That's irrelevant. I think that question being asked in the media, that's an irrelevant question.
No,
they have
that is
everything
the
they
key
need to build
point
a weapon.
in U.S. intelligence assessments. You know
no,
that.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
No, it's not.
So clear this up for us. How important was the intelligence?
Well, look, the president and this administration have been adamant that Iran was developing a nuclear weapon. And so while Marco Rubio may say that you don't need to focus so much on the intelligence, there certainly are a lot of questions, especially about whether the supreme leader had actually given the go-ahead. Because remember, I think it was last Thursday when the press secretary came out here to the briefing room in the White House, and she tried to clear up some confusion about the intelligence. And she said, yes, they feel that Iran, has this capability, that all that was left was for the supreme leader to basically give that final go-ahead, and then they could develop a weapon within just a matter of a few weeks.
It would take a couple of weeks to complete the production of that weapon, which would, of course, pose an existential threat, not just to Israel, but to the United States and to the entire world.
It's still unclear how much damage the strikes have done to Iran's nuclear program. While the president said the nuclear sites had been completely obliterated, Mary Bruce says Vice President Vance wouldn't go that far.
We feel very confident that the Fordo nuclear site was substantially set back, and that was our goal.
And so there's still real questions about what comes next, because it's not clear just how degraded or set back or destroyed Iran's nuclear program was and what it may take for them to rebuild it. But the bottom line is that the president had long vowed that Iran would not be allowed to get a nuclear weapon. But of course, we know he also long promised to get America out of wars, not into them. And it is why this is, without doubt, the biggest, most risky, most potentially dangerous gamble of Trump's presidency.
All right, let's talk about the objective, because the vice president told us yesterday that the president does not want to achieve regime change. Then late yesterday afternoon, he said on social media that the term regime change may not be politically correct, but if the current regime is, quote, unable to make Iran great again, he asks, why wouldn't there be a regime change? What are we supposed to make of this?
The administration was quick to come out yesterday on all of the Sunday talk shows. The vice president out there, blasting the airwaves, trying to make the point that they are not out quickly calling for regime change.
We don't want to achieve regime change. We want to achieve the end of the Iranian nuclear program, John. That's America's objective. And
the president had a bit of a different tone yesterday in this post that he put out. And keep in mind that the president has been warning that the U.S., has other targets in its sights. If Iran chooses to retaliate, or if Iran doesn't make peace on Trump's terms, the president has been very clear that the U.S. will target, as he said, with precision, speed, and skill, other sites, that he's not ruling out taking future action.
There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days.
But that doesn't mean that they aren't saying that going forward, if this leader is not able to come back to the table, not able to work with the Trump administration, that they aren't going to go ahead and hit them again.
Reaction in Congress to the weekend attacks has been mixed, with one member saying the president's actions are reason for impeachment. It's 2:30, midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. The NBA draft kicking off this week, where the Jazz fall in that lineup. Utah's Public Labor Union referendum officially coming to the ballots next year. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
In Parley's Canyon, a small accident westbound I-80. It's about a mile or so prior to East Canyon. You'll see those vehicles over to the right shoulder. Maria?
KSL's top local stories in 1 minute. First, ABC News.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. U.S. troops remain on high alert in the Middle East after Iran launched missiles at a U.S. base in Qatar, following those U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities this weekend. There are some 10,000 U.S. troops stationed in Qatar at Central Command's regional headquarters, the base seen by the Pentagon as essential to regional security. The U.S. says there was no impact to the base and no casualties. ABC's Karen Travers says the U.S. tried to hold talks with Iran before Saturday's airstrikes in Iran.
There was a last-ditch effort at diplomacy last week, according to sources. The president was having conversations with the president of Turkey, President Erdogan, about trying to arrange a meeting with Iranian officials. But we now know that the supreme leader of Iran had gone into hiding, concerned about an assassination attempt, and was not able to sign off on that meeting. So it did not take place.
President Trump, after meeting with his national security team, says Iran launched 14 missiles and they were intercepted by the U.S. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. The Forsyth Fire expanded another 2,000 acres overnight to more than 7,000 acres, and it's 0% contained. Spokeswoman for the Great Basin Incident Management Team, Candy Stevenson, tells Inside Sources that homes have also been lost.
Our count is 13 homes that have been lost in Pine Valley. The good news with that is that there are lots of homes that were saved, a lot more homes that were saved.
Stevenson says while it's always devastating to lose homes, the only saving grace is that all the structures which burned were secondary homes for the owners. South Ogden police are looking into the background of a juvenile who they say showed up to the South Ogden Day celebration with a gun over the weekend. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
Police were there patrolling the city celebration. This was Saturday evening when they got a tip there was a group of kids wearing all black clothing, and one of them was spotted with a gun. Police, they moved in quickly. They say one in the group pulled out a gun. Police challenged him, so he dropped it and ran into the crowd right toward the concert stage. Officers say he didn't make it very far before they caught him. Police have not given us the age of the suspect, but they did say everyone involved was located. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
The biggest data center campus in the world could soon call Millard County home. KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi reports the facility still needs approval from the county commission.
The 20 million square foot facility is classified as heavy industrial. The Salt Lake Tribune reports Orem-based FiberNet Mercury Data proposed building the facility. It's being called the largest data center campus in the world. The county commission approved the zoning change on almost 1,200 acres of property outside Delta. The company hopes to tap into natural gas, solar, and other nearby resources to power its AI goals.
The company hopes to lease the center to tech companies or government agencies for artificial intelligence or other purposes. Other local stories KSL is following. Police in Idaho have issued an Amber Alert as they search for 2 missing children who may be headed to Utah. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says a 13-year-old boy and 15-year-old girl are believed to be with their 18-year-old sister, Alintra D. Fisher. Sheriff's Office says on their way back to an FLDS community and could be headed to the Mendon area in Cache Valley. Right now, the missing teens are being treated as runaways. Anyone with information is asked to call police. Taking a look at your money at this moment at the close, the Dow up by 374 points, ending at 42,581. S&P 500 up by 57. The NASDAQ is up 183 points. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Ricky Meese.
The crash we had westbound to I-80 prior to East Canyon on the shoulder has just cleared. If you're in the valley, Salt Lake County Freeway seeing a clean drive, but southbound I-15 in Davis County, work zone slowdowns are in place near Burton Lane. Jordan Valley Water says we're using about 12% more water than last year, even though we don't need to. Let's fix that. Water 1 day less each week. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We are not expecting any rain for the next 7 days. Today's high 78, but up to 97 by the time we get to Saturday. 70 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
Your electric bill is going to be higher for summer, but not if you get new windows from Advanced Window Products. State-of-the-art double-pane windows and insulated frames, any style, any color, from a company that's been building them right here in Salt Lake City for 39 years. Not only are you buying local, but you're cutting out the middleman because they're the factory. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows, and you get a lifetime guarantee from a trusted local company. If there's a problem 5 years from now, they come right over and get things straight. And right now, you can save even more. If you call Advanced Windows for a quote, they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Advanced Windows offers buy now, pay later. They have 60-month 0% financing. They always work out affordable payments, plus $2,500 off. So get your new windows for summer. Make the call now, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or you can go to advancedwindows.com.
You were listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. The NBA Finals wrapping up last night in a spectacular fashion.
And the game is tied again.
It was a Game 7 for the ages, a back-and-forth affair with 10 lead changes in the first half alone. When it was over, the Thunder had prevailed, and guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was named MVP.
We have a team full of competitors. We did what it took this year to be champions, and we deserve this.
It was the first championship for the Thunder since the team landed in Oklahoma City in 2008. Jim Ryan, ABC Sports.
Now all eyes are on the NBA draft, which starts on Wednesday. Joining me now to go through it all is KSL sports host Jake Scott. Jake, thanks for being with me. And first off, how did you like last night's game?
No problem, Maria. Thanks for having me so much. And hey, anytime we get a Game 7 in sports, let alone the NBA, which of course I love, I'm going to enjoy it. It's too bad that we had a serious injury in Tyrese Halliburton, who it was confirmed today did tear his Achilles. Of course, the star guard for the Pacers. But Oklahoma City was the best team in the regular season, and they proved to be the best team in the playoffs.
I know everybody was talking about that last night. I didn't actually see that injury happen, but my son did and his girlfriend did, and boy, that was major.
Yeah, those are really tough. The Achilles, it's going to take him probably at least a year to come back from that, and then kind of the year after that, as you get back in your feet, is tough too. So it's a tough injury for sure.
So seventh game, Game 7, that hasn't happened for what, since 2016?
Yeah, something like it's a lot more rare in the NBA than people think throughout the playoffs, but certainly in the finals. So it's fun to get there. The Pacers were really a big underdog all playoffs long. So for them to push the Thunder, who of course were the favorite, to 7 games, I think proved for a pretty special series.
Okay, so let's talk about the draft. What teams and players are you keeping your eye on?
So the Jazz have the number 5 pick in the first round. They also have number 21 in the first round. But the 5th pick is what everybody, of course, has their eye on. There's a couple things they can do. They could trade up. There's been conversation, although not lately, about the Jazz possibly trying to trade up for the number 3 pick, or they could just stay at 5 and make a pick there, which looks to be the most likely scenario. And, look, there's a few names. Ace Bailey is a big name that's kind of fallen in some draft boards lately that could be around for the Jazz at 5. Con Knippel played for the Duke Blue Devils. A lot of people might have seen him in the NCAA tournament, the ACC tournament last year. ESPN has a brand new mock draft out today where they had a guard from Oklahoma, Jeremiah Fears, in the 5th spot to the Jazz. And then they could trade down, which seems less likely to me, but would be an option as well.
So what are they looking for? I mean, they had a rough season this year. What are they looking for in the draft pick?
Honestly, Maria, and there's a lot of cliches that go to this, like best player available. But in this circumstance for the Jazz, it's absolutely that. It's not like they're set at any position right now. They're looking to get as many really good young players as they can, and so really they've got to aim for a really great player, regardless maybe of position or role, as they kind of search for the next generation or the next star.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of players there, but I'm going to be honest, I've not heard of either. Give us some idea of what we're looking at.
Most of these players are guards or wings, kind of depending. I mentioned that Fears, he's like a point guard. If you think in the tradition, I suppose, of John Stockton, like that type of player, or a little bit bigger and guys can shoot. I mentioned Con Knippel. He's the best shooter in the draft, so he's a little bit bigger, 6'5", 6'6", but he can really shoot that 3-point bucket. Or a name I didn't mention, a guy named Trey Johnson, who's about 6'5", in that range too, but super athletic and super long, if you want to think wingspan and that type of stuff. So the Jazz are kind of in that range where they'll get kind of an athletic wing or possibly a point guard.
So what's the chance they're going to be able to turn things around in the next season?
Well, the NBA is kind of funny, right? I mean, if we take the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Jazz actually beat them in the playoffs in Donovan Mitchell's rookie year. Then Paul George played another year with them, and then they started a rebuild where they traded Paul George. They actually got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a young Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in that trade, and a bunch of draft picks. And then they had a couple bad seasons. They ended up picking high with a couple of picks and getting the right guys. And now we see with an NBA championship. So, there are a number of ways to build a franchise, but it seems like that process is becoming shorter and shorter as the NBA kind of spreads out its most talented players.
Yeah, I mean, how long can you talk about a rebuild when it comes to the Jazz? Like, before the fans get, seriously discouraged, if they're not already?
And I heard a lot of that. I do the pre-half and post-game on the radio broadcast too, and so I certainly hear from fans. But, interestingly enough, Jazz fans are really loyal, and I've been doing this for a long time through several rebuilds. And, I don't know how often you get over there, Maria, but attendance never falls below, 16, 17,000, even when they've been at their worst, because Jazz fans are really loyal, which is a really great thing. So, fans get grumpy, but they still love their Jazz. So that building is still full and still has a really great atmosphere.
Yeah, we did attend one game this year, and it was full, and the game was really good until the last couple of minutes, and then I was like, what? Did you throw that game? What happened there?
Yeah, we saw that a lot this last year because the Jazz do have some good young players, and I don't think the record actually reflected how good that they are. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're a playoff contender by any means, but what they showed last year was kind of more trying to be in position for a draft pick than it was really to be their best.
Yeah, Jake, it was a fun game until the last 2 minutes. Thanks so much for being with me today.
Hey, my pleasure, Maria. Thank you very much.
Yep, that is Jake Scott with KSL Sports. More Midday in just 60 seconds.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Governor Spencer Cox issuing an executive order today that will allow a recently passed law to go on the ballot in 2026. This is dealing with House Bill 267, which bans public employee unions from collective bargaining. This is something unions across the state have been pushing for months. Earlier on Midday, I spoke with Brad Essay, president of the American Federation of Teachers Union in Utah. So what is your reaction to hearing this news today?
We're excited for the news. We worked really hard to gather those signatures with many across the state, both citizens, union members, and other supporters. So we're ready to go and looking forward that the people of Utah get to make that decision and get a voice and a vote.
Remind folks of this signature gathering effort and how it plays into the governor's decision today.
You bet. So we had to gather over 140,000 signatures, and we ended up gathering over 251,000 signatures to get that on the ballot. We were just waiting for it to be certified by the lieutenant governor, which it did, and then waiting for the governor to make his decision if it was going to go on the 2025 ballot with a special election or the 2026. Either way, which way it would have went, we were ready, and we're ready to work it and look forward to getting the information out to the citizens of Utah. We found that when they are educated about an issue, that they come out and they vote. So we're excited for the overwhelming support that we had and know that that's going to continue when it comes to the citizens.
Describe for folks why this is important and why they should get out and vote for it.
You bet. So this is a power grab from legislators that are against unions. But what it really did harm was it harmed the voice of public employees to have a voice at their work site for working conditions, for salaries, and gives them a vote with collective bargaining, in their workplace. So it's important that we keep those freedoms for working families. This is all about workers and families. And, anytime that workers have a voice at the workplace, We retain workers, and this was not just about a certain group. This is about all public employees, firefighters, police, healthcare workers, city, municipality, state workers. So this affected so many workers across the state. And so it's important that that support for public workers continues with our citizens to be able to come out and to support public workers. So we're excited for them to be able to come out and vote and choose the right for people to have a voice, and it affects all of us.
Describe for us what you plan to do between now and Election Day.
You bet. We're going to get out and we're going to educate. We're going to educate the public on what this really is about. And there's been a lot of misinformation that's out there about this bill. There's been a lot of opposition from groups around the nation that made this more of a political issue against unions than really focusing on public workers and their families. So we're going to get out and educate citizens of Utah on what this bill really does and how it affects working families.
That is Brad Essay, president of the American Federation of Teachers Union here in Utah. There is a common phrase among Generation Z, brain rot. Is ChatGPT helping you to get brain rot and turn into a zombie? I'll tell you more about that after the break. But first, it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
We do have a slow drive southbound I-15 in that work zone for Davis County drivers. It's as you go past the Kaysville Ponds on the way to Lagoon in Farmington. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet store location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
Join KSL Radio's Amanda Dixon this Friday from 3 to 5 at the Salt Lake NPS store at 1600 Empire Road, npsstore.com.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
We do have breaking news at KSL. The Supreme Court is allowing the Trump administration to restart swift removals of migrants to countries other than their homelands, lifting for now a court order requiring that they get a chance to challenge the deportations. This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. Do you use an AI chatbot like ChatGPT. It's been in the news a lot over the past couple of years, both for how easy they make things, but also for a number of mistakes that they make. But what about our brain? Do chatbots hurt our overall psyche? ABC's Mike Dubusky explains a new study with the Start Here host, Stephen Portnoy.
When AI chatbots first hit the scene, people would laugh about how much they got wrong. You might remember a couple years ago an AI meal planner suggested a recipe that would have cooked up chlorine gas. And the stories of AI hallucinations in court filings are already legendary. But these generative chatbots are growing smarter every day. Essentially, they function as something of a brain. The question is, what will they do to our brains?
These large language models are good at a couple things, right? They do have applications within the world, but they are kind of being deployed very, very broadly. And kind of the goal of this very early study into the impact that it's having on our brains.
That's ABC's Mike Dubusky, who keeps us on point on tech. He's describing a new study from MIT, which suggests that relying too much on chatbots could erode your critical thinking skills.
What these researchers tried to do was they tried to figure out exactly what effect things like ChatGPT were having on people's ability to write essays, specifically SAT-level essays.
The study was done on 54 people between the ages of 18 and 39. They were split into 3 groups. One group was told to use ChatGPT to help them write their essays. The second group was instructed to use Google for research, and the third group was asked to use no technology at all, just their own brains. Oh, and as the study participants wrote, the MIT researchers ran brain scans on them. The researchers found that compared to the other groups, the writers who used ChatGPT had less neural, linguistic, and behavioral activity going on in their brains.
They found that these essays lacked original ideas. They weren't using their brains as actively as the people who didn't have any technological assistance or even the people who used Google search. Whereas, by contrast, those two latter groups had higher neural activity observed by these researchers.
Over time, the chatbot-driven essays got worse.
By the third time they're writing their essays, they're basically surrendering a lot of the process over to ChatGPT, basically copy and pasting what the chatbot gave them into their actual essay.
Polls show more and more teens are turning to ChatGPT for help with their homework, even to write their essays. There are chatbot detector apps for teachers, but they too have a mixed record. There's always been a school of thought in modern education that as new technologies emerge, students should be taught and encouraged to use them to become more advanced thinkers. It's why we give kids graphing calculators rather than an abacus or a slide rule. And it's why decades ago schools started de-emphasizing penmanship in favor of typing lessons. Might the time come when it's expected that essays will be done with the help of AI?
The researchers are really pushing this idea that they need to get this out now because they see this showing up in more and more classrooms, more and more legislation, and they're concerned about the impact that it could have. As it turns out, kids these days, they're not even typing things into, the search bar anymore. They're going to ChatGPT to do it, and that's having a really big impact on how they perform sort of neurally, how their brains are functioning, especially going into higher education.
Like it or not, whether it's allowed in class or not, AI is here to stay.
That is ABC's Mike Dubusky and Stephen Portnoy there. Finishing off today's show with some lighter local news. Utah mermaids are making a splash at the International Mer Olympics. 2 of the 6 members on Team USA are from Utah, and they earned the gold medal in the top team performance in Wolfsburg, Germany, by swimming and doing water events while wearing, oh my goodness, a life-sized mermaid tail. Mia Sim, also known on social media as the Provo Mermaid, tells KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson the event posed a number of challenges.
This is a brand new concept for all of us mermaids who are doing this athletically because we're used to performing figures and racing, doing all of these super hard physical endurance tests. And then all of a sudden they sprung on us to do a group synchronized mermaid dance. And we're all looking at each other like, oh, what the heck? How do we do this? We all live states away from each other. We've met each other once, and now you want us to go across the country together. That sounds crazy, but we're going to do it. So we did. And we met up in Florida. We had the time to spend 3 hours in the pool together to work on this synchronized dance routine. And we were not confirmed on a lot of details for this dance routine. So the stress was really high due to lack of rule clarification. We didn't know how big or deep the pool was going to be. We didn't know if we were allowed music. We didn't know if they had underwater cameras to ensure proper grading. All of these super big question marks over our heads like, oh, now what?
Sim says the tails can range from 35 to 50 pounds, and the mermaids are judged on a number of categories.
So the team synchronized performance is basically synchronized swimming. You're just all in mermaid tails. So you execute 6 required skills that they give you a list of, and then you're allowed creative freedom. Then you have an individual performance. So this is basically a mermaid solo in the water where you demonstrate your underwater capabilities of presenting your face and keeping your mermaid persona. You have the rescue portion, which pays respect and homage to people who have had to either rescue in mermaid tails or have witnessed accidents. So you're expected to tow a victim around. Then there's the photo shoot category where you're graded on your elegance, your pose to tail, things like that. Then there's the 50-meter speed portion. Oh, we call this one the tail bail. It's the breaststroke routine. So you have to breaststroke 25 meters. It creates an absurd amount of drag, and it's not very fun to practice.
Can't imagine. Sim won the title of the world's fastest mermaid at last year's Merlympics in Switzerland. Thanks so much for starting your week with me here on Midday. Remember, as fire season ramps up, you can continue to track the progress by going to kslnewsradio.com. Just click on Firewatch at the top of the homepage. Next up, Jeff Kaplan is back from vacation. Are you rested, Jeff? Ready to go?
I am. I'm trying to remember where all the buttons are. That's all. It's good to be back.
It's good to have you back. Have a great afternoon.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Well, hello there, 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. Right now in Salt Lake City, we're at 71 degrees, KSL's top story. There's now an Amber Alert in Idaho. Police are looking for 2 missing teens. They may be headed to an FLDS community in Utah with their older sibling. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson is live. She has the latest. Heather?